Now we'll be starting the event. Today's our topic, as you all know, is the COVID-19 crisis, and how to turn the threat into opportunities. And in COVID, is COVID a global risk? Impact of COVID on world economy? How to cope up with the COVID-19 crisis? Exploring opportunity in COVID-19 crisis. Today's our chief guest will be Mr. Ashfaq Tola, Chairman of Overseas Coordination Committee, member of Privatization Commission of Pakistan, and so many other, designation he is holding. And our speaker is Mr. Umar Hayat, Director, Gatling Management Consultants. Our guest will be Mr. Iqbal Daud, President, Pakistan Business Council, Dubai, Dr. Kaisar Anis, Pakistan Business Council, Abu Dhabi. And in the panel of experts, we have panelists from all over the world. Sarmat Khan from UK, he's the CFO in Aston Global, and Mohammad Kamran Khan, Managing Director and Principal Consultant in Fignity Consulting, Australia. Shahid Murad, Chief Internal Auditor, Advanced Petrochemical Company, KSA. Ashfaq Batavia, Principal of an audit firm in KSA. Arshad Ghatit, ex-partner, BDO, Bahrain. Mohammad Waqar Yaqub, Senior Manager, EY, New York. Mr. Shoaib Memon, Senior Banker and Board Member of Bank in UK. Mr. Asad Abbas, Manager, Assurance, Deloitte, Canada. Adnan Harun, Country Manager, Habib Bank Limited, Oman. Shafiqur Rahman, Finance Manager, Gulf Agency Company, Qatar, LLC. We'll start, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. We start with the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the merciful. May Allah increase our knowledge. Rabbi zidni ilman. So we will start from our, the format is that from our speaker to you, Mr. Umar Hayat. I will not, he will the one who will talking about the COVID and explaining how the crisis is affecting the global. Thanks. To you, Mr. Umar.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you can hear me. You made me worried a little bit, Asaf, when you said he will be talking about COVID, because I have no knowledge about COVID. Of course, the medical impacts of COVID, but of course, I can give my 2 cents on what I see businesses around the GCCG and obviously in Europe and North America, where we
have some doctors here also. They know the medical impact. We want you to tell us about the economic effects on that COVID. That's it.
For sure.
Know that, yes, around 4 million plus people are affected already by COVID.
Of course, and Asif, when you and I spoke, and obviously I've had the privilege in speaking on different occasions about this. I think we've always said that the coronavirus crisis was one thing, and then hopefully businesses and countries are dealing with that right now. There's this threat of a second wave, and maybe it'll happen. Inshallah, hopefully it won't. But then there's going to be the financial and economic kind of crisis and issues that we're facing right now in Pakistan and all over the world. And then there is obviously a whole wellness piece, like a whole mental wellness piece that's going to follow this, because people who are exposed to high levels of stress and anxiety, as so many people around the world are, they're obviously concerned about their jobs, they're concerned about their loved ones and so on. So exposure to high levels of stress and anxiety for a long period of time, this is not how human beings were supposed to be. So I guess we were not supposed to exist and supposed to live with such high levels of cortisol for such a long period of time. And obviously there's the physical health and the mental wellness piece that's associated with it. But what I thought would add value, Asif, if you allow me to, would be in the few minutes that I have to share with you. I know we've got people who are obviously in finance professions and so on. I think I've had the opportunity to speak to some of you in the past as well. So if you hear the same joke again, please laugh. It's good for my self-esteem. No, I'm just kidding. So, if I just wanted to, I thought it'd add value to you, because I know we've got people from the finance world, this idea of managing change. And I thought that, I know you've been maybe bombarded by webinars and so on, but if you're an organizational professional and you're sitting on your boardroom tables and speaking to your managers, speaking to your CEOs, speaking to your organizations about how to manage change, I thought I'd give you just some of the things we've picked up over the past 13 years or so of my experience, training and teaching and so on. I've had the pleasure now of delivering in over 54 countries, about 1,500 workshops, maybe 55,000 people. And I always say that I've actually learned more than I've taught, because talking is not teaching and listening is not learning. The more you listen to, to people like yourself, the more I grow and I listen to and I learn as well. So ji, there's a dimension we talk about called the Cotter change model. Maybe some of you are familiar with it, maybe not so much. So what I'm going to try to do is, in the next few 10 minutes or so, I'll just try to summarize that model for you. And if you want to take notes or so, you can. I think it'll add value to you in the next conversation, the next meeting you have with your organization. Maybe some aspects of this change management model could be of relevance to you. So in the late 70s, early 80s, and so on, as there was a big kind of wave on mergers and acquisitions, we are looking at mergers and acquisitions all across the GCC right now: Bahrain, Oman, the UAE, of course, and Saudi. And of course, all over the world, there's going to be a conversation of businesses coming together, mergers and acquisitions, because we don't need maybe 2 airlines. We don't need maybe 10 different banks. Maybe there will be some consolidation happening. So the early 80s were like that as well. And when this mergers and acquisitions wave started, Professor John Cotter came up with this fantastic little model. It's an 8-step model. I'll just quickly mention the steps. And then if you have any questions for me, it'll be my pleasure to take them. And then we can discuss this further. So anytime you or your organization, it applies to both now, you or your organization or your teams are dealing with any kind of change, the first step to change is what we say, creating the sense of urgency. The step number 1 of change management is creating a sense of urgency or explaining the why. So if you're going to be having any redundancies in your organization, if you're going to be cutting cost, if you're going to be diversifying your business, your people, your employees, those who report to you must understand the why this is happening. Organizations and leaders and managers who do a good job in explaining the why to their people, not just because it's Corona. No, that's not good enough. Actually, the reason why we're doing this is because it helps us with this. This I can actually prove to you. People must know why this change is happening. So creating a sense of urgency and establishing the why. And maybe you'll agree with me, unfortunately, right now, many large organizations that you hear about, they're not doing a good job at this. I truly believe a lot of organizations, I don't know what their PR departments are doing. I don't know what their comms departments are doing, but some of the communications coming out of why they're having to fire people, why they're having to diversify their business is actually quite poor in terms of the quality of communication. So number 1, establishing a sense of urgency, creating, explaining the why. Number 2, the second step is, in your organization, what you do is you want to identify those individuals, those people who you believe will come along with the change. So for example, if you're a CFO, if you're a finance director listening to this, and if you're having to make some tough calls, you're having to reduce people's salaries, or you're going to have to deal with the impact of this coronavirus crisis, a recommendation to you would be to identify those champions of change within your organization, those people who will be adaptable and they'll be able to come along with you on the change. So we call it step number 2, if you want to write it down, we call it creating a guiding coalition. Creating a guiding coalition. What that essentially means is surrounding yourself with those people, who have gone through some kind of change before in their lives, and they know how to be able to do this. Step number 3, very important step, is establishing a change vision. I cannot explain and emphasize to you enough how critical and important this step is, and how many organizations fail to do this. They do not explain to their people that the change we're going through right now, what will life look like after the change? So maybe it'll be 6 months, maybe it'll be 1 year. Whoever knows, how long it'll be. And of course, nobody can predict how long this, pandemic and this coronavirus remains. Inshallah, hopefully it goes away soon, but nobody really knows. So a critical part is establishing a change vision. What will success look like? And I strongly recommend you, as industry experts, as finance leaders who are managing large organizations, strongly recommend you to create a change vision. Your people must know that whatever change we're dealing with right now, if we're having to make drastic, actions, if we're having to let go people, reduce salaries, diversify, whatever we're doing, what will success look like beyond this? And step number 4, maybe even more important than step number 3, is communicating the change vision. How many times have we heard of organizations where the ideas and the why we are doing this remain in the boardroom? if you ask a baggage handler at the airport, or if you ask a steward or a stewardess at the airline, or if you ask the waiter at the restaurant, do they know what's happening in their organizations? But yet these people are the ones who are the front line delivering the service. What motivation levels would you expect from these individuals? And I ask you as finance leaders, and I ask you as senior leaders, what motivations do you expect from people who are not part of the change, who are just told that this is what's happening to you? And again, some organizations do a great job at this through town halls, through participative meetings, to ensuring that there is, everybody's at least involved, not the decision maker. The decision obviously still has to be made at the top. I completely understand that, but at least they're part of the decision, of the journey. So step number 1, creating a sense of urgency, explaining the why. Step number 2, creating a guiding coalition, surrounding yourself with those champions of change. Step number 3, creating a change vision. What will life look like after the change? Step number 4, communicating the change vision. And then step number 5, which is creating broad-based action. Broad-based action essentially meaning, is the change, just kind of, is it in some pockets, or is it a widespread change happening within the organization? So for example, if you're going to be, opening up a line of business, closing down a line of business, do people understand that this is not only impacting that particular line, but your decisions are having ramifications on the entire business? Do you have an I team or a we team? Do you have an I team or a we team? Which means is that everybody worried about themselves, their jobs, and as long as I have my job, that's what matters. Or are people truly, looking at the success and the sustainability of their business? So step number 5, of course, create a guiding, creating broad-based action. Step number 6, which is this idea of not letting up and not giving up. So again, if you are part of a change right now, if you are right now listening to this and you're driving some kind of change within your organization, please understand that right now you're going to get resistance to change, right? The typical stages of change, right? Coronavirus, nobody was expecting this. It happened to all of us. Everybody's going through these stages of change. I'll quickly remind you, I think in one of the maybe previous webinars, we've explained this, right? The stages of grief, stages of change. There's shock. There's denial, right? It'll go back to the way it used to be. There is paralysis, right? Where, I cannot work like this. My life is over. There is anger, and then there is hurt. And then at some point, there is some acceptance and healing that takes place. And then eventually people move on. And then there is, on the way up, there's some new strengths and some new confidence. And then you have, success. So these are typical stages of change that people go through. So if you're an industry leader right now, if you lead a team, if you lead a business, please try to kind of figure out in your head, where are your people in this kind of stages of change. And if you are met with resistance, please ensure not to give up. Step number 7, critical step, is about incorporating change into your culture. Because maybe you'll agree with me that this is not the first time a crisis has come around. It's probably going to not be the last time that this is going to come around. So how can we incorporate more agility or adaptability into our culture so that the next time this happens, we're kind of not ready for it, but we're quick to adapt? I know that we've got people on the call. I see hundreds of people now, I think almost 100 people. So, everybody's maybe working in different industries. You've got people working on different, remits and job descriptions and so on. But I think one thing we're all bound by is nobody was ready for this crisis. And truly, what will define us is how quickly we get out of this crisis from a mindset perspective. Couple of other things I want to share with you, and then there's a couple of other questions I see on the chat. I'll take those questions. May I ask you right now, if you're listening to this, may I ask you, a lot of people are worried about job loss. Rightly so. Of course, it's a tough time. People are concerned about their jobs and jobs of their loved ones and so on. May I ask you a question then? If God forbid, Allah na kare, you wake up one morning and God forbid you got that dreaded email and you've lost your job. You have no fixed paycheck. What is the one quality? What is the one attribute that you will go back to? So think about it. Think about it for a second. If you woke up in the morning and you found out, oh my God, I don't have a job anymore, what will you revert back to? What's that quality you have? And my recommendation, is it agility? Is it public speaking skills? Is it influencing skills? Is it presentation? Is it negotiation skills? What attributes do you have that you'll go back to? Resilience, is it part of them? And then my recommendation and suggestion to you and to myself is that we build on those attributes. So when times are tough, you build character, right? So right now, for all of us right now, this is a character building exercise. So I ask you, I implore you to think about what qualities and characteristics would you have that would take you, if God forbid you woke up and you lost everything, what would you go back to? And one more thing about change management, about managing change yourself, is if you're an accountant or a prestigious ICAP member, or an auditor or advisory or all the different wonderful things that you guys do that I don't understand for 1 second, thank God. But all these wonderful things that you guys do, maybe your skill set, maybe you want to look at your skill set again, right? So maybe an accountant, an auditor will need to learn coding. maybe an engineer would need to learn how to, debits and credits. So maybe all of us now will need to rethink and need to plan a little bit as to what are those skill sets that will be in demand in the future, right? And I think we all know that it's a digital transformation era. That's what for the future, at least from our perspective, looks like. So, it might be a good time right now to look at those, digital transformation, skills, what they call DQ, not Dairy Queen, but digital quotient. They call it digital quotient, which is, the ability to, and how adaptable are you for digital transformation? Maybe that's an aspect that you want to look into. So be agile, be adaptable. Remember that the stages of change are normal. So the stages of shock, denial, paralysis, anger, hurt, acceptance, healing, and then new strengths and new confidence, success. These are natural stages of change that we're all going through right now as individuals, as an organization. And remember that Kotter model. Remember that step-by-step Kotter model, which is, one more time, creating a sense of urgency or explaining the why the change is happening. Number two, surrounding yourself with those champions of change, or what we call creating a guiding coalition. Step number three, critical component, having a change vision. What will life look like after the change? Step number four, communicating that change vision, so it's not just left in some boardroom and everybody kind of knows what's going to happen after the change. Step number five is creating broad-based action, so you create as many buy-ins as possible, using the examples of step number two, which is the champions of change. Number six, you do not let up. You do not let up. You keep going. And number seven, of course, is this idea of incorporating change into your culture. And of course, in some models, there's an 8-step model, in some models, a 7-step model, but the emphasis, the idea is the same, which is be the change you want to see. I said this in our previous conversations and meetings as well, that Tony Robbins says, if you work the same way for 10 years, you haven't worked 10 years, you worked your first year 10 times. I ask you that question right now. Are you working your first year 10 times? Changing is about, not doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I ask you, are you doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? So economically, financially, I believe change management and becoming not an expert, but being more aware of what are some of the skills and attributes required for change management. I believe those are things, Asif, I think these are things that will add value to many of people on our call today, people who are industry professionals. They've done very well for themselves, and congratulations to you and the success that you're having. And again, thank you so much, Asif, for doing a great job for putting this call together and giving us an opportunity to talk with each other. Let me know, Asif, if I take a couple of questions, or do you want me to shut up?
No, I not shut up. I want you to take up some questions and answer. I think you can see on the chat box, there are some relevant questions. Be, kindly, up to you.
Very well. Let me just take 3 or 4 minutes and then we'll wrap up.
Sure.
Look, if you have any questions, again, please do write them in the chat box, and maybe in the next 2 or 3 minutes, quickly as possible, I'll take them. I'll take them up. So Muzammil has asked, what are the 3 common big steps, themes observed globally due to this unplanned scenario change? Muzammil, obviously, just for the sake of time, I can't get, I won't be able to spend too much time on this. But what I will tell you is, the biggest themes I'm seeing is panic. Organizations which are absolutely, their balance sheets are solid, they're good, they've got a good thriving business, and people will still go out and they will still put petrol and oil in their car, and they will still go out and have dinner at restaurants, right? You're not going to change human behavior because of this. In fact, there's a great article out there which talks about it talks about the normalcy bias, which says that human beings by nature revert back to what they believe is the normal. So if I'm a betting man, which I am not, I don't want to say I'm a betting man. If I'm a betting man, I'd bet that the pendulum always swings further than it should. So yeah, the pendulum, when things are bad, it's going to be the end of the world. Everything is going to end. And then, in Dubai, for example, right now we've got everything open. Now even shisha cafes are open, right? So it's like Corona never happened. It's all okay. Like we scared you to death for 4 months, but now everything is okay again. Just go out, just don't worry about it. Right? Because the pendulum always swings further than it should. So when good times are here, we go to one end, and then when tough times are there, it goes the other way. So Muzammil, just to answer as question as best as I can, I'd say the theme I'm observing is companies and individuals who have no need to panic are panicking because of uncertainty and anxiety. And in that uncertainty and anxiety, I believe that sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes organizations are making terrible decisions. They're making terrible decisions of letting go people who in 6 months, 1 year from now, they'll have to rehire back and retrain again. And I believe organizations are making a mistake, those who are not digitally transforming. So if you're a bank, I know Asif mentioned there's some bankers on the call as well, so please forgive me when I say this, or maybe you're already working on this, that maybe we don't need 700 branches, right? I mean, maybe that's the new normal. Maybe digital banking, I know you're already working on it, maybe that is the future, right? So I think organizations that don't change, right? What did Peter Turner say? He said, in the future, there'll be 2 types of organizations, either fast or dead. And one more thing I'll add, and then I'll turn it over to Asif, is I've said this in one of our previous sessions, right? I always talk about Kodak and BlackBerry and Nokia and Ericsson and all these companies, and maybe from your industry, other organizations that became redundant. I ask you the question to ask yourself, why did they become redundant? Why? Why did these organizations become, they disappeared? It's not because they didn't have smart finance, ICAP people like yourself telling them what to do. It's just that they refused to change. They said, no, people want film. We'll keep making film, right? Remember Kodak, right? We'll keep making film. And remember BlackBerry, right? We are the businessman's phone, right? My Canadian friend BlackBerry said, we're the businessman's phone. We're not the social media music phone. And guess what happened? So change or you will be changed. Like Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid says here in Dubai, change or you will be changed. Asif, I've got a couple other questions, but I know you've got a packed agenda. Should we park it for some other day then, inshallah?
Yeah, we'll park it for some other time, and maybe we have time, we'll answer this question. Thanks a lot, Umar. Thanks a lot. Excellent. We have to change, otherwise we'll be changed. ये तो बहुत अहम चीज है, और कि अगर आप चेंज नहीं करते अपने आप को, जो कोविड के अंदर जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, जो क्राइसिस है, उसके अंदर आप अपने आप को एडजस्ट नहीं करते, देन यू नो मोर एग्जिस्ट. जिस तरीके से नोकिया आपने मिसाल दी, ब्लैकबेरी जैसे आपने मिसाल दी, सेम विल हैपन टू यू और टू योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन.
अगर आप उर्दू में बोल सकते, मुझे ही बता रहे थे, मैं इतनी जोर लगाया 15 मिनट अंग्रेजी में, मैं भी उर्दू में बोला था आसिफ भाई, ये तो ज्यादती है.
आपके
थैंक
जो
यू सो
इंग्लिश
मच.
आपकी ज्यादा अच्छी, हम लोग उर्दू मीडियम में सर, सो वी यूज उर्दू. एनी हाउ, नाउ
थैंक यू.
थैंक्स अ लॉट, थैंक्स, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया उमर, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, थैंक्स अ लॉट. और अब मैं गुजारिश करूंगा, अशफाक तोला साहब, आर यू देयर? Ashfaq Tola Saab is the chief guest today, and everybody knows him. He's the coordination, he's the chairman for the Overseas Coordination Committee. He's the member of board of Privatization Commission of Pakistan. Ashfaq bhai, are you there?
Yes, very much.
Yeah, to you Ashfaq bhai. अब अशफाक भाई
Thank
सही
you.
बता सकते हैं आपके जो है ना कि कोविड से क्राइसिस से किस तरीके से निकला जा सकता है और क्या उसके अंदर जो अवामिल हैं और किस तरीके से जो है हेल्प आउट करेंगे. To you, Ashfaq bhai. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Asif. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And thank you, the organizers, for giving me this chance of being the chief guest. I think Iqbal Bhai is here, and I can see so many faces from ICAP, my alma mater. And after this huge and a very good, thought-provoking presentation by Umar Hayat, I think it's worth saying that this is good for Hayat. Nonetheless, the program or the webinar is on the COVID and how to cope up with post-COVID situation. And in my humble view, very good thought-provoking suggestions were given by Umar, and I think let me take it forward. I've sent a presentation to Asif bhai. Asif, can you please demonstrate that if you can? Unmute.
Ashfaq bhai, you can play from your side, or you can share.
Okay, I have shared it with you. I mean, I don't know how to do it. I'm not a computer savvy. So if you can manage, I would love to.
Okay, sure, Ashfaq bhai. 1 minute. Give me a second.
So in the meantime, before Asif can upload the presentation, let's talk something about what to do and how to do. In a country like Pakistan, I think, where the economy is very fragile and we are a lot more dependent on import and the exports are meager, I think we have got to shift the strategy. Shifting of the strategy means, I mean, basically, you have to go for actually vocational trainings now. And in some last interviews I had with so many forums, especially in a forum where Shahid Murad and Ashfaq Batavia was interviewing me, I have suggested quite a few things from the perspective of Pakistan's economy and for the international scenario as well. So in my humble view, with this fragile economy and the world moving in such a slow pace, we need to change. Obviously, rightly pointed out by Umar, that change or you will be changed. This is absolutely perfect in this situation. And in my humble view, we need to change before we change. Now, this is a small presentation which I think I have just made from the figures given to us by the various publications of Government of Pakistan. And I would just like to share, because we are sitting in amongst our own people, and I think we must know where the economy is going, because we all are Pakistani. And being a diaspora, my diaspora of ICAP abroad, you are very close to my heart. अब अगर मैं देखता हूँ तो let's pick up from where we left last time in UAE. And in my humble view, there are quite a few factors in our economy. I mean, I'll just explain this first page because due to paucity of time, I think there is a lot more material to come, and we have to see from the regional perspective and then from the global perspective. So in my humble view, let's take quite a few figures and then we can deliberate upon if needed be. So I'm just comparing my economy from 2017-18, now 2020 and 19-20, and way forward what can happen post-COVID scenario. सबसे पहले अगर आप देखेंगे तो GDP growth, my GDP growth was almost 5.5, and then it is slide now to 0.38% negative. Last year it was 1.91. meaning that even post-COVID situation, pre-COVID situation, the situation was not got to perfect. When it comes to current account deficit, yes, बहुत अच्छा हुआ हमारे साथ कि हमारा current account deficit कम हो गया. और ये अगर आप देखेंगे तो जुलाई से मई की फिगर है. आई थिंक इसमें जून की फिगर ऐड होनी है और कोई इतना लंबा चौड़ा फर्क नहीं आना चाहिए. So this figure is giving us a good signal, good vibes about the economy of Pakistan. Again, now let's go to the external debt side. External debt, which was 95.23 billion in 2017-18, has increased to 109.94. और ये भी अभी आपको मार्च तक का फिगर मिला है, बिकॉज के जून के फिगर आपके अगस्त में अपलोड होते हैं. तो दिस इज व्हाट मेरा अभी जो मुझे जो नजर आ रहा है 113 के करीब, 112 के करीब ही हो गया होगा, बिकॉज ऑफ कोविड हम रीपे नहीं कर रहे और हम बोरो कर रहे हैं. IMF से भी हमने 1.44 बिलियन हमने बोरो किया, एशियन डेवलपमेंट बैंक से 500 मिलियन बोरो किया है. इस तरीके से एक चाइना से कमर्शियल लैंडिंग 1.5 की, तो वी माइट बी पेइंग इंटरेस्ट और वी माइट बी रोलिंग ओवर मोस्ट ऑफ द डेट, बट बिकॉज ऑफ आपका जो मोरेटोरियम मिला आपको G20 से, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वी आर नाउ सेफ, वी आर आउट ऑफ द डेंजर जोन. इंटरनेशनल रिजर्व्स भी आपके बढ़ गए. डोमेस्टिक डेट विच वाज 17 ट्रिलियन has now increased to 24 trillion. Again, this is the figure of May 2020. तो ये भी बढ़ा है आपका. Fiscal deficit जो 6.6% of the GDP होता था, it is estimated that it will be 9.5, and this is the official figure of government of Pakistan. Then SPP reserves, they have increased. I mean, it's a bumpy ride. It was 9.7, then again it reduced to 7.285 billion in 18-19, and now it has again increased to 11.23 billion dollars. ये स्टेट बैंक के रिजर्व होते हैं. बैलेंस ऑफ ट्रेड आपका बहुत अच्छा आपका इम्प्रूव हुआ है, और आपने देखा होगा आपकी इंपोर्ट्स काफी हद तक कमी आई है उसमें. इसमें आगे पूरी ये मेरा ख्याल है ये जो प्रेजेंटेशन है आसिफ, यू कैन डिस्ट्रीब्यूट टू द पार्टिसिपेंट्स एज वेल. It has all the ingredients, all the factors which causes these increase and decrease. They are narrated here in the subsequent slides. Then tax revenues again, I think, which is very discouraging. मैं अगर देखूं तो more or less कमी हो रही है every year instead of increase. और जो टैक्स रेवेन्यू का इशू आया हमारा इस साल जो कोविड का, मेरा ख्याल है इसकी वजह से हमें 200 से 300 बिलियन का एक जर्क पड़ा है. अदरवाइज अगेन दे आर स्लाइडिंग. इंटरेस्ट रेट्स आपके थैंक्स गॉड के आखिरी में आपको 7% नजर आ रहा है, बट इट यूज्ड टू बी 13.5% फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ द पीरियड. 13.25 थे, और मेरा ख्याल है ये मार्च के बाद से जरा रिडक्शन शुरू हुई है इसकी. करेंसी इन सर्कुलेशन, ये एक बड़ा अच्छा फैक्टर होता है जिसमें हम कहते हैं नोटें कितनी छापी हैं. तो 4.38 ट्रिलियन से अब 6.2 ट्रिलियन पे आ गई है. So these are quite a few indicators which reflects the economy and the state of economy. Even most of the figures are pre-COVID, and I think, in my humble view, it needs a redressal. Asif, can you move to last slide before thank you? Before thank you, last slide. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this one. So the way forward, as I suggested to the people out in Islamabad, is we have to renegotiate the terms with IMF. The terms of IMF are very strict. With such parallel economy, we cannot cope it up. So we have advised the government to renegotiate our terms with IMF, or say goodbye to IMF. Then lower the interest rate to 4% because the economy is not picking up, and you need to give artificial breathing to it by printing of notes and by lowering the interest rate. Tax reform is the survival of Pakistan, the survival of FBR. We have got a Tax Reforms Commission report, which was spearheaded by our legendary Masood Naqvi Saab. I was also part of it. And we have authored a report that is ready to be implemented, and I think, in my humble view, isko ye karna padega. Then हम ये कहते हैं कि जी with such expensive parity of USD and PKR, your economy can't survive. The inflation will go up and up, and it will be mounting. So in order to raise the bar of economy, we have suggested that the central bank must intervene in the currency market and bring back parity to at least 140 rupees. And by giving direct subsidy to the exporters, I think we can achieve it. This is actually the ring fencing of the revival of economy. And I think we have to work a lot more and a lot hard to just accept the change. Otherwise, change will change us. Thank you very much. Again, I think it's a good function, good webinar, and it will be educating people pan globe about the economies of the various regions, various countries, especially. And I'm happy that Iqbal Saab is here. Dr. Kaisar Anis is also here. And I think they were missing me because of COVID. Iqbal Saab, I'm with you even in COVID. Thank you very much, Asif. Again, congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you very much. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अशफाक भाई. और आपने से बताया, हमारी दुआ है कि इंशाल्लाह ताला ये पेंडेमिक की जो क्राइसिस है पाकिस्तान को खास अफेक्ट कर रहे हैं, इससे पाकिस्तान निकल सके और हमारी लीडरशिप को बात समझ आ सके, जो आप समझाने की कोशिश काफ़ी अरसे से कर रहे हैं. तो we will move forward and now to Mr. Iqbal Dawood, President of Pakistan Business Council Dubai. इकबाल साहब अपने कुछ ख्यालात का इजहार करें, बताएं कि ये पेंडेमिक की क्या सिचुएशन खास तौर पे जो दुबई के अंदर है, और दुबई ने काफ़ी प्रोग्रेस किया है और जो क्राइसिस है किस तरीके से, यानी कि कौन से कारोबार जो हैं उन पे काफ़ी असरात पड़े हैं और कैसे नए कारोबार जो हैं वो लोगों ने स्विच करें अपने नए कारोबार की तरफ. इकबाल दाऊद साहब.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम. अस्सलाम वालेकुम. दुबई में फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग यहाँ की गवर्नमेंट ने जिस बेहतरीन तरीके से इसको कॉम्बैट किया है और इसको साथ फेस किया है, वो यकीनन लायक तहसीन है. और अब जो इफेक्टिव्स की जो तादाद है वो भी बिल्कुल सब्सटेंशियली डिक्रीज होते होते अब तकरीबन 200 प्लस रह गई है डेली, बावजूद इस बात के कि यहाँ टेस्ट कसरत से होते हैं. पाकिस्तान की तरह नहीं है, अफ्रीका की तरह नहीं है कि जहाँ टेस्ट ही बहुत कम होते हैं और गैर मोतबर होते हैं. इसके अलावा जो मईशत पे असर था उसका भी अभी बहुत बेहतरी तो आई है, लेकिन इसके बावजूद एक कंस्ट्रक्शन इंडस्ट्री हुई, रियल एस्टेट हुआ, रेस्टोरेंट्स बिजनेस है, होटलिंग और टूरिज्म है, ये बैडली इफेक्ट है. और जो ये आसिफ साहब की और पीबीसी की और दीगर जो ये काविशें हैं कि किस तरह पेंडेमिक को अपॉर्चुनिटीज में तब्दील किया जाए और किस तरह के नुकसानात को कम से कम किया जाए, तो इस सिलसिले में दूसरी चीज़ों में तो बहुत हमें फ़ायदा हुआ है. लेकिन आज के जो पार्टिसिपेंट या हमारे जो थिंक टैंक हैं, उनसे मेरी गुजारिश ये है कि ख़ासकर अगर इन चीज़ों पे भी कोई एम्फेसाइज करके कोई पर्टिकुलर अगर मशवरे दे सकें कि हाउ टू रन आउट ऑफ इट एंड हाउ टू गेट द मैक्सिमम बेनिफिट इंस्टेड ऑफ द लॉसेस, तो बहुत काम आएगी. लेकिन दुबई में न सिर्फ दुबई सबसे पहले मुझे यकीन है कि इस मुश्किल से बाहर आएगा, काफ़ी हद तक आ चुका है और बहुत कैपेबल क़यादत है जो इसको फेस कर रही है. लेकिन इसी तरह इंतहाई बदकिस्मती की बात है कि पाकिस्तान में ये हर्ट बहुत कर रहा है, बेइंतहा स्प्रेड होता जा रहा है. लेकिन कुछ अल्लाह की मेहरबानी ये भी है कि कैजुअलिटी रेट इंतहाई मिनिमम है. बेइंतहा फैलने के बावजूद हम उसको काबू भी पाते जा रहे हैं और नुकसानात कम से कम तर हैं. इन तमाम हालात में ये जो काविशें हैं और ये जो ब्रेन स्टॉर्मिंग है, ये बहुत ही यूज़फुल होगी और हमारे आइंदा के लाइफ स्टाइल को भी चेंज करेगी, जैसे अभी कर चुकी है. मिनिमम ट्रैवल और मैक्सिमम जूम मीटिंग और टेक्नोलॉजी का मैक्सिमम इस्तेमाल, तो ये बहुत ही हौसला अफजा है, खुशाइंद है. और हमें ये चाहिए कि इस पेंडेमिक से निमटने के बाद भी हम अपने लाइफ स्टाइल में ये पॉजिटिव तब्दीलियाँ लाएँ, जो कि हमें न सिर्फ फैमिली में टाइम देने का भी खुश बाइस बन सके और हमारे लाइफ स्टाइल में पॉजिटिव तब्दीलियाँ भी ला सके. आसिफ साहब का मैं बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि उन्होंने ये इनिशिएटिव लिया और मैं दरख्वास्त करूँगा कि आइंदा भी इस टाइप की चीज़ों को कंटिन्यू किया जाए. तो मेरी दरख्वास्त ये है कि ये जो दुबई जिसमें सबसे ज़्यादा हर्ट हो रहा है, उस पर भी अगर कोई पर्टिकुलर मशवरे हों तो ज़रूर दिए जाएँ ताकि इसको मैक्सिमम तरीके से मुस्तफ़ीज़ किया जा सके मेंबरों को. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
थैंक यू जज़ाकल्लाह इकबाल साहब, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। और मैं इसमें एक चीज़ ऐड करना चाहूँगा कि जिस तरीके से बहुत से लोगों ने सोचा कि कैसे थ्रेट को अपॉर्चुनिटी में चेंज किया जाए, इसकी बहुत बड़ी मिसाल हमारे एक मेंबर हैं शब्बीर मर्चेंट साहब, और मेरे ख्याल से वो इस वक्त हमारे साथ हैं भी इस वक्त फोरम पे। तो उन्होंने, क्योंकि उनका एक मिसाल है कि नियॉन का, दे वर डूइंग ऑन नियॉन साइंस एंड अबाउट 80% ऑफ देयर बिजनेस वेंट डाउन। सो व्हाट दे डिड इज दैट वन, उन्होंने अब जो सैनिटाइजेशन गेट और सैनिटाइजेशन टनल्स और इस पे काम करना शुरू किया है, और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह उनका बड़ा अच्छा काम चल रहा है इस सिलसिले में। तो ये एक वन ऑफ द बिजनेस दे स्विच्ड एंटायरली देयर बिजनेस, उन्होंने अपना बिजनेस पूरा का पूरा फोकस नियॉन साइन, वो तकरीबन 42 इयर्स से जो है या नियॉन साइन का काम यूएई के अंदर करते हैं, उनका काफी नाम है चैंपियन नियॉन के नाम से, और उन्होंने पूरा शिफ्ट किया अपना बिजनेस, and he was able, I think, to secure some good contacts in governments and other organizations. तो अब मैं गुजारिश करूंगा डॉक्टर कैसर अनीस साहब से। डॉक्टर कैसर अनीस, are you there?
Yes, we'll open. Can you open? Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम। डॉक्टर साहब कैसे हैं आप?
बस अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। पहले तो बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, आपने इतना ज़बरदस्त अरेंज किया और टॉपिक बहुत अच्छा है, अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ पे है। अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ ही हर चीज़ में देखनी चाहिए, हर चैलेंज में। एंड आई एम रियली थैंकफुल टू यू फॉर टेकिंग ऑलवेज एंड एडवांस थिंकिंग। एंड नियरली अब हम जुलाई में आ गए हैं, थर्ड क्वार्टर हिट कर रहे हैं, और होपफुली दुबई खुल गया है, थिंग्स विल बी डिफरेंट। बट बिफोर आई स्टार्ट I must मैं सलाम करूँ अशफाक तोला साहब को, our great mashallah advisor to the government and always giving good points. I like the analysis. आपने देखा होगा कि इन्होंने जो एनालाइज किया, जो मैंने नोट किया है, जो पॉजिटिव चीज़ मैं बताऊंगा, क्योंकि ये अपॉर्चुनिटी और पॉजिटिव की बात कर रहे हैं। एक तो करंट अकाउंट की बात कर रहे हैं, जो कि हमारा करंट अकाउंट बेहतर हुआ है। एक स्टेट बैंक का रिजर्व की बात कर रहे हैं, जो कि बढ़ गया है 11.23, और एक हम बैलेंस रेट की बात करेंगे। आई नो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ नेगेटिव, बट हम अलाउंस लेंगे गवर्नमेंट को कि ये कोविड की वजह से हुआ। और इनकी सजेशन भी बहुत जबरदस्त है कि रीनेगोशिएट विद IMF। दिस इज अ ग्रेट सजेशन एंड द फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री शुड लुक इनटू इट। ये भी बहुत अच्छी सजेशन है कि ब्रिंग टू 4%, ऑल्दो 6% तक भी अगर आ जाता है तो बहुत अच्छी बात है। टैक्स रिफॉर्म होना चाहिए, टैक्स कलेक्शन होना चाहिए, एंड 140 रुपए पे डॉलर को आना चाहिए। इस पे इनको सही काम करना चाहिए। दिस आई टू सपोर्ट हिम ऑन दैट। एंड ऑफ कोर्स ये डायरेक्ट सब्सिडी दे के करें या कैसे भी करें, दे शुड ब्रिंग टू 140। दैट विल चेंज ऑल, जो पूरी ऊपर की एनालिसिस चेंज जाएगी। तो ये मैं पाकिस्तान के बारे में मैं कह रहा हूँ, अच्छा हुआ हम लोग सबको इंफॉर्मेशन उन्होंने डायरेक्टली दी, और उनके हर बार हर बजट की रिपोर्ट आती है। आई एम रियली थैंकफुल फॉर हिम, ही इज एन एसेट टू अस एंड वी वेरी प्राउड फॉर हिम दैट ही इज देयर इन आवर प्रोफेशन। उमर हयात साहब की भी माशाल्लाह such a great analysis of 7 points. I like it, and he did a very good analysis on that. Certainly, coming to Asif, of course स्ट्रेस तो बहुत है, जैसे उन्होंने कहा पैनिक बहुत है, स्ट्रेस तो बहुत है, लेकिन स्ट्रेस में ना पैनिक करना चाहिए ना। जो मेरी सिंपल फॉर्मूला है, जो कि आप लोगों को भी पता है, कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है, कि हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अपना रेवेन्यू को प्रोटेक्ट करे, रेवेन्यू को प्रोटेक्ट करे हर हालत में, कि यू बाय डाइवर्सिफाई करके करें, जैसे आपने बताया शबीर साहब का किस्सा, या किसी तरह करे रेवेन्यू को प्रोटेक्ट करना। एंड ह्यूमन माइंड थिंकिंग इज वेरी पावरफुल थिंकिंग, दे कैन डू दैट। दूसरा जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है इस चीज में, वो अपने ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज को प्रोटेक्ट करें। ये जो आपके पास एक्सपीरियंस स्टाफ है, जो मैनेजमेंट है, इनको हर हालत में रखना चाहिए। उमर हयात साहब ने बिल्कुल सही कहा, यू हैव टू कीप देम, यू कांट लूज देम, क्योंकि दोबारा आप हायर करने जाएंगे। अभी मेरे पास एक ग्रुप आया हुआ था, वो कह रहा था मैं अपना कारोबार बंद करना चाहता हूँ, तो पूरे ग्रुप बैठा हुआ था। इस मीटिंग से पहले मैं बता रहा हूँ, लोकल है, कि मैं आई डोंट वांट टू एनी मोर इंटरेस्ट। तो मैंने पूरा सुना और मुझे कह रहा था आप मेरा पेपर बनाइए, लिक्विडेशन सारा। मैंने सारे उसको समझाया कि ये बहुत अच्छा है, तुम सही बात कह रहे हो, तुम्हारे खर्चे बढ़ गए हैं, so let's take an option and give a 365 days to your business. And at the end of the day, I convince him, continue for 1 year, look at, see how you can proceed and go on a minimum level. And he ultimately he agreed and he said कि तुम आप बिल्कुल सही. हालांकि मुझे business आ रहा था ये. मैंने इसको कहा कि नहीं तुम मत करो liquidate. You continue on your business and you will after 1 year you will sit down again. So बहुत stress है market में. और तीसरा जैसे उमर ने बहुत अच्छी बात कही कि क्वार्टर टू क्वार्टर देखा जाए एंड क्वार्टर टू क्वार्टर देखना चाहिए. कैश फ्लो, कैश इज किंग. अपना कैश देखें खाली, दैट इज अ सर्वाइवल. एंड एवरी क्वार्टर का कैश बनाए कि कैश होना चाहिए आपके पास. और साइड बाय साइड कितने एक्सपेंसेस आप रिड्यूस कर सकते हैं, दैट इज अ की टू इट. आप कर सकते हैं. आपने देखा है कि दुनिया में लग्जरी ओवर हो गई, सब एसेंशियल्स पे आ गए, सब नेसेसिटी पे आ गए. हम लोग पढ़ते थे ना इकोनॉमिक्स में, नेसेसरी, कंफर्ट एंड लग्जरी. तो अब हम नेसेसरी पे आ गए. ऑल्दो बहुत सी चीज कंफर्ट जो आ गई वो नेसेसरी में आ गई. तो हम लोग को एसेंशियल आइटम को देखना चाहिए और इन चीजों को देख करके वी कैन वर्क आउट ऑन ईच ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. मैंने 4 पॉइंट बताए या 5 पॉइंट बताए हैं, ये हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को फिट आते हैं. और ये हम यहाँ हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को बता रहे हैं बाय न्यूज़लेटर कि यू बिहेव दिस वे. पैनिक नहीं करें, ड्रास्टिक डिसीजन नहीं लें. इट विल आफ्टरवर्ड्स यू विल, क्योंकि ये सब आपने सालों की मेहनत से ये कारोबार बनाया है. चैलेंजेस तो आए हैं, ये जाने वाला नहीं है. कोविड इज देयर और ये हम थैंकफुल हैं शेख मोहम्मद बिन जायद को और शेख मोहम्मद बिन राशिद को, दोनों को. इन लोगों का विजन और हमारे जो लीडर का विजन मैं रियली कमेंट करता हूं और हर बार मैं नोट भेजता हूं इनको कि वी आर वेरी प्राउड दैट वी आर हियर. अब आप देखें अबू धाबी में देयर इज 0 डेथ. ये अचीव करना कोई आसान काम नहीं है सर. जहां हजारों की डेथ हो रही है अमेरिका में जो हमारा एडवांस वर्ल्ड है, और हजारों की डेथ हो रही है इंडिया में और पाकिस्तान में. हम माशाल्लाह फॉर्चुनेट है कि हमारे लीडर ने लाखों को टेस्ट किया और अब इस सिचुएशन पे आए हैं हम लोग के देन वी हैव 0 डेथ एंड कंफर्टेबली बैठे हैं. लेकिन वी हैव टू वियर द मास्क, वी हैव टू बी अलर्ट, वी हैव टू कीप ऑन थिंकिंग, वी हैव टू कीप ऑन यूजिंग आवर माइंड टू प्रोटेक्ट नॉट ओनली योरसेल्फ, योर फैमिली. और इससे आपने देखा है बहुत सी इस चैलेंज के साथ बहुत सी अपॉर्चुनिटीज आई है. फैमिली टुगेदर हो गई, जिसके बच्चे रातों को घूमते थे अब वो घर पे बैठे होते हैं साथ फैमिली के साथ. ये बहुत बड़ी चेंज आई है और इससे काफी स्ट्रेंथ मिली है. इन्वायरमेंट हमारा बेहतर हो गया है. ये इन्वायरमेंट जो आपने देखा होगा कि जो कि हर वक्त हम कह रहे थे कि ओजोन टूट रहा है और हंगामा हो रहा है, नई चीज आ रही. अब ये लोग जा रहे हैं मार्स पे ढूंढने के लिए फॉर अपॉर्चुनिटी. सो दीज आर ऑल पॉजिटिव थिंग्स is coming in way and I'm more positive will come. Again, I just to close it, I'm again thank to Asif Saab and thank to all my friends. I can see Shabir Saab, I can see many of good faces there. My best wishes to them. I can't see Dr. Hadishai Saab there. My best wishes to him. So Asif, with that I close that. And I wish all the best, and I see that the second quarter and the third quarter and fourth quarter will be better. Dubai has opened it. Abu Dhabi is still thinking about that, and I'm sure बहुत soon हमारा ये जो राब्ता अभी हम तो लॉकडाउन है ना, हम लोग जा नहीं सकते ना आ सकते हैं. अगर जा सकते हैं तो आपको टेस्ट कराना पड़ेगा. तो hopefully within a month's time this will be over and the business will go in a high level. Thank you so much, sir.
थैंक यू, जज़ाकल्लाह. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया डॉक्टर साहब. जैसे कि डॉक्टर साहब ने कहा कि तकरीबन 14.2 मिलियन लोग अभी तक अफेक्टिव हो चुके हैं कोरोना से, जिसमें से 6 लोगों का जो है इंतकाल हो गया है और सबसे बड़ी फिगर जो है जो कोरोना के इफेक्टिव है 3.7 मिलियन सिर्फ यूएस में है। जब हम यूएस के में आएंगे तो वकार साहब हमें बताएंगे क्या वजह है कि अमेरिका में जो रेट इतना हाई है। सिर्फ अमेरिका में अब तक अराउंड 142,000 लोग मर चुके हैं और 3.7 मिलियन लोग जो है कोविड से अफेक्ट हो चुके हैं। तो इसके लिए जैसा कि आपको पता है अशफाक तोला साहब, उमर ने और डॉक्टर कैसर अनीस ने, इकबाल दाऊद ने कहा कि अब जो हमें एडवांटेज नजर आ रहा है बहुत सारी चीजों में कोविड की वजह से कि हमारे पास टाइम है, हमारे पास एम्पल टाइम है क्रिएटिव चीजों के बारे में सोचने का, डिसीजन करने का। बहुत सी जगह जो है ट्रैवलिंग टाइम हमारा बच चुका है। जो ऑफिस में जाते थे हम लोग, रोडों पे रश कम है, तो यू हैव मोर टाइम। अब ये वो वाला टाइम है जिसके अंदर लोग अपने ऊपर टाइम स्पेंड कर सकते हैं कि आगे उनको क्या करना है। अपना जो है ना करियर जो है वो ग्रोथ, दोबारा करियर ग्रोथ में आ सकते हैं अगर वो इंडिविजुअल कैपेसिटी में सोच रहे हैं। और अगर वो कंपनी के बारे में सोच रहे हैं तो ऐसे बहुत सी मिसालें मौजूद हैं जिन कंपनियों ने इस दौर के अंदर अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाया है और लाइन चेंज करी है। बहुत से जो इंडस्ट्री हैं जो बैडली इफेक्ट हुए, जिसमें यानी कि उसमें कुछ नहीं किया जा सकता, जैसे कि आपका ट्रैवल है, टूरिज्म है, होटलिंग है, एयरलाइन इंडस्ट्री इज बैडली अफेक्टेड। अब एयरलाइन वालों को सोचना है कि वो क्या कर सकते हैं इसमें। जिस तरीके की मिसाल ये देता हूँ, यूएई के अंदर जो जब ऑनलाइन डिलीवरी शुरू हुई तो उन्होंने क्या किया, उनके पास इतना स्टाफ नहीं था ऑनलाइन डिलीवरी करने के लिए। उन्होंने क्या किया कि जो टैक्सी ड्राइवर्स हैं दूसरे, उनको हायर किया, और उन्होंने उनको हायर किया इसलिए कि ऑनलाइन डिलीवरी के जो है उनकी कैपेसिटी वो बढ़ सके। और इसी तरीके से जो कारफोर्स हैं दूसरे जो है, उन्होंने उनके यहाँ ऑनलाइन डिलीवरी का जो टाइम था, अगर ड्यूरेशन 1 घंटा था तो वो 1 दिन 2 दिन पे चला गया। तो उन्होंने अपने स्टाफ को ज्यादा से ज्यादा इस्तेमाल किया कि वो ऑनलाइन डिलीवर करें, और उन्होंने व्हीकल्स हायर करी। तो ये थॉट प्रोसेस है कि किस तरीके से हम अपनी जो इस कोविड के अंदर किस तरीके से हम कोप अप कर सकते हैं, जिसकी मिसाल मैंने आपको बताया कि शबीर मर्चेंट साहब हमारे साथ यहाँ हैं, वन ऑफ द लीडिंग बिजनेसमैन इन यूएई। उन्होंने ये सोचा कि ये कारोबार तो अब उनका बहुत अफेक्ट हो रहा है, लोग नियॉन साइन नहीं लगाएंगे, बिजनेसेस नए नहीं खुलेंगे, तो क्या किया जाए। तो उन्होंने सैनिटाइजेशन के ऊपर और ये इसके ऊपर आए, उन्होंने गेट्स बनाए और टनल्स और दूसरी चीजों पे काम कर रहे हैं। अब मैं जो हूँ अपने एक्सपर्ट पैनल्स की तरफ आता हूँ। तो एक्सपर्ट पैनल्स के अंदर हम इस तरीके से चलेंगे, क्योंकि आपको पता है कि रात का टाइम शुरू हो चुका है ऑस्ट्रेलिया में। तो सबसे पहले हम ऑस्ट्रेलिया से मोहम्मद कामरान खान, हमारे बहुत अच्छे दोस्त हैं, उनसे मैं गुजारिश करूंगा कि वो थोड़ा अपने ख्यालात का इजहार करें कि कोविड में क्या पोजीशन ऑस्ट्रेलिया में है और किस तरीके से ऑस्ट्रेलियन इकॉनमी जो है वो अफेक्ट हुई है इस कोविड की वजह से, और क्या वो समझते हैं कि कौन से किस तरीके से इससे जो है ना जो थ्रेड है इसको अपॉर्चुनिटी में चेंज किया जाए। कामरान साहब।
Thank you, Asif. Thank you for putting such a wonderful webinar. And Assalamu alaikum to all panelists and attendees to the webinar according to, and good evening, good morning, or good afternoon to all of them according to their respective time zones. Asif, you have given me 8 minutes, though you initially said that there will be 10 minutes. So I'll try to wrap up everything in those.
Amran, your voice is not clear. I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting, but your voice isn't clear.
Is it clear now?
Yeah, much better now.
Okay, so
Kamran, you can take 10 minutes. There's no problem. I will cut from Shahid's 2 minutes.
No, I'm okay because Umar has already discussed some of the points that I wanted to discuss. So that's fine. Those 8 minutes will be enough for me. We all know that this COVID-19 is a global pandemic that is disrupting the world and posing a risk for communities and economies across the globe. Like what happened in previous pandemics and recessions, the full impact has not yet unfolded and all the risks have not yet eventuated. We need to see what is coming, and the game is not yet over. So what we have seen after few months in this pandemic is just the beginning, and none of us can predict that at this stage what will be the ultimate impact. We all know that one day things will be back, inshallah, and we all hope that it will be sooner than later, and we'll be back to normal. But one thing that I believe and I think most of you will agree with me, is sure that there will be a new business as usual. It won't be as before. The business will not be as the usual business will not be as it used to be. There will be a lot of changes in the way the business is conducted, the way the business is planned, and the way the strategic structure and strategic planning of the businesses is done. And of course, risk management and technology is going to take over many of the important areas where businesses used to focus. Now, when coming to Australia, due to low population density in most of part of Australia, because it's a big country having a very small population of around 25, 26 million, uh, and definitely the proactive approach of Australian government and measures taken by them, the first wave of spread was controlled very well. And we were able to bring the numbers of new cases down to zero in most of the states. Now we are going through with the second wave of a spread, and the government is trying to control it through several measures, uh, particularly the state where I belong, Victoria. It is the state where we are having new cases coming in double digits. And they are basically like when Iqbal Sahib was saying that the UAE has bring his cases down to 200. We have brought our cases up to 200, and it is a worry for us because we have seen a time where the cases were almost reduced to zero, and now we have started having another surge. So that's basically is a challenge in front of the government, and the government is trying to control it through several measures, including identifying hotspots where most of the cases are, tightening the lockdown. Now we are back to a stage 3 lockdown, where we can go only for few things outside our home. Otherwise, we have to remain within our homes. If we go outside, we'll have face heavy fines. And just to give you a teaser, the fine is like $1650 if police catches you outside your house for something which is not necessary. And the government is doing tests, conducting more tests. We have done around, in this second wave alone, the government has done around 1.5 million additional tests. So that's how the government is trying to address the issue, to contain the spread and to save their lives. If I look at the stats that are in front of me, since the start of this pandemic, we had about 11,000 cases, not much. 8,000 have recovered. We have about 3,000 active cases. And throughout Australia, we had only 118 deaths. But for the government, this is a big concern. They don't want to spread. They don't want this virus to spread that quickly because it is very contagious, we all know. Now coming to economic impact, many sectors are impacted badly, and hundreds of thousands of businesses are either closed or working at reduced capacity. And I think that's the case everywhere in the world. It's not just Australia. Australia is part of the world, so we are no exceptions. We've been hit hard by the pandemic, and our economy is hit hard by this crisis. Tens of thousands of people have stood down. Those who don't understand what is the meaning of being stood down, it is like people have not lost their jobs, but they've been sent home without pay, so that when the business is back, it is open, they can call those people back to their jobs. Uh, Over 1 million people are on JobKeeper. This is an incentive that the government has given to the businesses to continue employment of people. So those businesses who are running but are not running at their full capacity, whose business is down, whose turnover has dropped by a certain threshold, the government is paying a certain amount of the wages to those businesses so that they don't reduce their manpower, their employees accordingly. Despite of all these measures that government has taken to contain the damage and contain the impact of this pandemic on the economy and on the common people, about 600,000 people have lost their job, and the unemployment has jumped to around 6.2 million as per May stats. But it is expected to increase further. It is expected to go up to 10%. PwC in its report published in March has predicted that over a year, pandemic could reduce Australian GDP by 10%, which is equal to around $34 billion. So that's a big amount. That's a big impact that the economy is going to have. As Asif indicated, that there are many industries, travel, tourism, hospitality. These are impacted everywhere. Airlines are the hard one. Tourism industries are hard one. Travel industries are hard one. So those being hit by definitely are the most impacted one. In addition to that, education, when it comes to Australia, Australian economy is depending on not 100%, but is one of the key element of Australian economy is the education sector, particularly overseas students. And that has gone down to zero. No new students are coming. And that's basically is also one of the worst hit sectors within this crisis. When it comes to that, who are the winners? Definitely, winners are medical supplies and services, essential supplies and services, food manufacturing and retail, logistics, e-commerce and digital fitness and mental health sectors. These are the businesses. Those are basically managing turnovers level which have doubled within short time. So for those businesses, there are different sort of challenges. For those businesses ramping up their ability to deliver higher turnover, to deliver higher number of transaction is becoming a challenge. Whereas for the other businesses who are hit by the pandemic, they are struggling for other things like keeping their employees, keep managing their cash flows, servicing their debts and other stuff. So in order to support the businesses and economy, both federal and state governments have announced various stimulus packages here in Australia, which include tax reductions through instant asset write-off, cash flow boost, JobKeeper, which I mentioned what it is, and other state revenue exemptions and reductions. So the government is taking its measures to contain the damage to the economy, to contain the loss of the jobs. But it is despite of this, because we've been into this for last 3 or 4 months, it's not yet a full year. And it is expected that what Australian government is expecting, that we won't be able to start recovering before mid of next year. So which means that we have around 1 year ahead of us, during which we have to manage this crisis, not only at macro level, but at the micro level. So this is the position of how the Australia is impacted, and what is government doing, what different stakeholders within Australia are doing to manage this, on whether it is on the health side, whether it is on the economy, whether it is on the RBA. So they've been all trying to steer the nation through this crisis. Now coming to how to cope up with this challenge. This is a bit tricky, and because this is something which is unprecedented. We all of us have not seen it before. But what I would say in this regard is that we all been some of us definitely have not seen, but some of us definitely have seen and have experienced these economic boom bust cycles before, which basically is 6-7 years of good times, followed by a couple of years of bad time, like night followed by day. So that's basically this is a different crisis, but it is when it comes to the economy, it is pretty much similar to the downturn, and it is similar to the global crisis that we already have faced. So I have seen that those businesses who were prepared for a recession and its impact are surviving irrespective of their industry. So what I will endorse, what Umar said about a state of emergency, I would include that state, creating that state of emergency in the preparedness. So in order to cope with the crisis, we need to basically prepare our businesses for the crisis. It is something which we need to do in anticipation. Now, some people may say that we already into it, how we can prepare. So we are basically into it, but we don't know what is coming. So we need to prepare for that. And the second most important thing that I would emphasize on is having relationship with the stakeholders, particularly your financiers. It is very important because they are the one who are providing the finances. When it comes to any CFO, finance director, or the financial
Amran, can you wrap up if you don't mind?
Yeah, I'm trying to wrapping up quickly. So when it comes to this, they basically, I always recommend those CFOs that the financial modeling is pivotal in these times of changes. And it is basically, it provides, and what people normally make mistake, they do only the P&L forecast and budgeting, cash flow and balance sheet budgeting and forecasting is also important. And not only for 1 year, not only for a month, we need to run it for months, for years, and then discuss these with all the stakeholders, including the financiers. So that's basically is important thing that we need to do with. And definitely this challenge has already speed up the digital transformation, and the CFOs are required to manage and review their business models, manage risk with higher reward versus risk ratios, and look for the opportunities like merger and acquisition. Definitely there is risk involved in that, but I think that those are the opportunities which will be coming, because a lot of businesses will be on sale in coming future, as either their owners had enough or they have faced enough tough time. So I'm wrapping up it, Asif. Thank you.
थैंक यू वेरी मच कामरान, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका। आपके जो है ना, आपने 2 मिनट जो है वो शाहिद भाई के लिए, तो शाहिद भाई के बाद 6 मिनट रह गए खाली। तो एनीहाउ थैंक्स अ लॉट। नहीं इट्स ओके फाइन, जस्ट आई एम जोकिंग। जैसे कि आपको मालूम है कि इन पैंडेमिक के अंदर जो है ना, जो ग्लोबल ट्रेंड चेंज हो चुके हैं, उसके अंदर खासतौर पे जो ऑनलाइन बिजनेसेस है, खासतौर पे जूम, आपको पता है कि सिर्फ इसने पैंडेमिक के अंदर 900% ग्रो किया है। So it's just an example of a business model which is taking over the world. So to Shahid, he's the heading case chapter also ICAP. Shahid Murad.
Yeah, thank you Business Insight, and thank you Asif Zaman to give me a chance to talk to this prestigious forum. After Kamran's deliberations, detailed deliberations, now I have, I think, only 2 or 3 minutes to wrap it up. I'll be very quick. See what COVID-19 brings to our life. Fear, basically fear of death, fear of sickness, fear of losing job, fear of losing business. So that's the COVID bring fear in our life. So yes, COVID is a global risk because this is bring a prolonged recession on the global economy. What we see in the current year, that the recession, the GDP might be negative for this year, and next year we are not expecting more than 2% GDP growth overall global economy. Because of COVID-19, what we've seen in the last few months, we increase in bankruptcies. We have seen in Saudi as well. There are a number of businesses that are short of cash. We have seen the banks are providing higher provisions because of the not payment by the businesses. What we have seen, the lack of liquidity in the market as well. The cash is not available. If you go to the banks, they are very tight in the last few months. Another thing which is a global phenomena but applicable to Saudi as well is unemployment. What we've seen, a lot of unemployment for the local workforce as well as the expat workforce as well, which might impact Pakistan as well, because a lot of people will flow back to Pakistan after they're losing their jobs. Travel restrictions is again a global phenomena, but again still applicable to Saudi as well. Still the Saudi airspace is closed for any travel from outside Saudi Arabia. Yes, we have opened the local flights, but travel from outside is closed, and we don't know how long it's going to take to open the Saudi airspace for anybody travel from outside Saudi Arabia. What we see in a failure of industries or sectors in certain countries, Asif mentioned about the travel industry, Asif mentioned about the hospitality industry. Those sectors are very badly impacted because of the COVID-19. Okay, we have seen a weakening of fiscal position of the countries as well. Because of the GDP growth is reduced, this will give a fiscal, the challenge to the countries, how they cope with increased consumption or increased expenditure on the health sector, on the sector which is required a lot of contribution from the government. We have seen a disruption of global supply chain as well. Because of this COVID-19, the travel restrictions, the supply chain is also badly impacted. If you go to the markets, you might not find whatever you need because of the disruption in the technology in the global supply chains. So those are the challenges basically, which is not only global, but also impact the GCC economies and Saudi economy as well. Now, how to cope with COVID-19 crisis? Yes, this is a very difficult question, but I can tell what we've seen in the last 3 months, last few months. See, technology is the most important way to cope with the COVID-19. I give you 3 examples only. Work from home is all based on the technologies. Use of Zoom, use of Team, Microsoft Team, use of WebEx. This is all because of the use of technology. Education sector, what you've seen in education sector basically is online classes. Even my daughter, she's in grade 1. She completed her course with the online classes. And then afterwards, they also conduct exam based on the online classes. So technology is again very important to cope with crisis. E-commerce, which was mentioned by one of the speakers, that e-commerce, it's helped a lot. E-commerce, in Saudi, we have most of the big stores are closed for the last 4 months. What we have seen basically that all the trade, all commerce is done through the use of apps. You purchase through using online apps. All the deliveries for the food is done through use of apps. So technology is most important way to cope this COVID-19 crisis. Now, if you go back to Saudi Arabia, up to now, we have almost 250,000 cases of COVID-19. Out of these 250,000 cases, almost 200,000 are recovered, alhamdulillah. We have seen fatalities of almost 2,500 fatalities up to now. This is today's figure. So yes, the COVID-19 impacts Saudi economy like Saudi as well, like any other countries. Now, I will talk about my own company as well, that what is the impact, what we've seen in my organization in the last few months of the COVID-19. I'm from a petrochemical industry, which is basically a backbone of the Saudi economy with oil and gas sector. What because of the lockdown for 24 hours for last few months, what we have seen basically, there was no impact on our production levels in last few months, because we make sure that we have sufficient staff available to visit the plant on daily basis and make sure that the plant is running as usual. So we got travel passes from the government, and we make sure that our plant is running as usual. Now we are selling polypropylene. Polypropylene is a basic plastic used for to produce lot of industries. So yes, there was a reduction in the demand for polypropylene. But how we cope this issue with the demand of the polypropylene, that we moved to the countries, we moved to the regions where still there was some demand for the polypropylene. We moved to the grades which is required in the healthcare sector to produce PPE for the health sector, mask and other equipments. So this is the way we basically move our business. So we make sure that our revenue should be intact. We should not lose our revenue, which was theme. I think most of the panelists talk about that you should not lose your revenue. Another things I can mention about again my personal experience. I'm working on one project with my organization, which is more than $1 billion. We are still in the development stage. We still not reached to the construction phase. What we've seen, there are a number of milestones in the last few months to meet during this development phase. So again, travel restrictions are there. You can't visit different countries. You can't bring the people from different countries to come and visit you to meet different timelines and different targets. So again, we use the technology to make sure that the project should not be delayed, and we make sure that we achieve our timelines, our goals by use of technology. Again, technology is the only thing which can help us now and which can help in the future. Over to you, Asif. Any questions?
Thank you very much. And somebody has raised hand. Let me check who has raised the hand. Hafiz, Mr. Hafiz have raised hand. 1 minute. Mr. Hafiz, you have raised hand. Can you ask question? What question you have? Hello.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, yes. What's the question here?
Sir, question is everybody is emphasizing about the technology and the skilled and change. This all are very good. We are learning these things since last 20 years, and every 5-6 years we are observing the one tsunami. Even we learned this everything, and we could not cope with the situation when it really occurred. So there is something is something is lying hidden still, which we don't understand the situation. The situation is technology is not my hand, in not your hand, and you know better who is number one in technology. When you reach this point, who is number one in the technology, so you will be reached that point who benefiting with this COVID. 1, 2, 3. You calculate this and then you find which type of economy imposing on you. The third, the fourth, what you have the parallel to counter this economy. Where this answer of this question, as long we are following the situation, we cannot be an alternative business model to counter any situation. Believe me, we cannot counter because the economy relying on the huge profit, huge sale, and this is now gone off. The corporate sector will be suffered too much. The CEO still don't know when he will be retrenched. So how he can make the policy of change? He don't know the next day he will be. So there is a issue. There is a big issue. Everybody will be lay off if there is no sale. The sale is the bottom line. Your profit is the bottom line. So you should think what is a parallel economic system which can counter this huge profit system. Then the 190% you can guarantee the people will survive in our country. Our country, 70% people no education, no skill. How they will survive in this situation? Only 30% skilled people will survive in this technology. My people are 70% no skill, no education. Technology benefiting only you. So how this with something is missing, sir? Answer this question.
Okay, thank you very much, Rafiz. Thank you, thanks a lot, and we will try to answer your question. This I will try to answer in a short form. Is that one technology is affecting things? Is that one technology जो आपने जो सवाल किया उसके अंदर है अनस्किल्ड लेबर और दूसरे क्या होगा? देखिए इस वक्त टाइम है लोगों के पास, लोग जो अनस्किल्ड है दे विल ट्राई टू मेक सम स्किल्ड, कोई ना कोई तो उसके पास टाइम है. टाइम इज मेन थिंग इज दैट. जहां तक टेक्नोलॉजी का ताल्लुक है, अब आज की दुनिया के अंदर अगर आपको पता होगा कि टेक्नोलॉजी तो अब एक गरीब आदमी भी इस्तेमाल कर रहा है. मोबाइल, हैंडफोन, स्मार्टफोन इज बीन यूज्ड बाय इवन जो काम करने वाली आ रही है, हाउसमेड, लेबर, ये टेक्नोलॉजी इज ऑलरेडी देयर. टेक्नोलॉजी आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि जो है टेक्नोलॉजी का इफेक्ट नहीं हुआ है. बैंकिंग ऑनलाइन हो रही है सारी की सारी. अदनान साहब है, अदनान साहब बारी का इंतजार कर रहे हैं. तो अदनान, मैं बल्कि आप ही को चाहूंगा कि आप इस पे कोई जो क्वेश्चन इन्होंने किया है इसका अगर कोई आप जवाब दे सकें.
Thank you. I think thank you. Can you hear me, right, Asif?
Yes, sure.
Okay. First of all, I think many thanks for inviting me on this webinar. So before I comment anything, I just need to make a disclaimer. Whatever that I'm saying is my personal opinion. It's nothing to do with my organization. So I think that's one disclaimer clause we always mention. Now, I think that you rightly said कि टेक्नोलॉजी जो है आप बता रहे हैं कि वो एक फोन है आपके लिए. यू डोंट नीड टू बी अ मास्टर, यू डोंट नीड टू बी अ PhD होल्डर. आई थिंक यू जस्ट नीड अ फोन, स्मार्टफोन which is there in fact, and you are reachable everywhere. अगर आपको कोई मतलब आपके बच्चे को भी कुरान पढ़ाना है या कुछ करना है, ठीक है ना, वो भी उधर ही हो रहा है. एजुकेशनल e-learning वगैरह हो रही है, सब फोन पे जरिए हो रही है. So I think it's technology we are thinking when we are talking about technology. It's not, I think, that we need a bigger type of any server and everything. Wherever you can reach, I think you can. This is your start point. So I think that I'll just start with, I think, from the banking perspective, and then probably give a couple of few examples. Then I can say. I think that giving back to that particular point, in fact, the question that is being raised. When this happened here in Oman, in fact, in my organization, only 5% of the people were using email access on the phone. Within 24 hours, we turned all our 100% employees into 100% to the email access, so that at least we are reachable. So that's, I think, you can see the technology savvy on that side. So I'll just come back to that one in the further detail, but let me just give you some in terms of how the business is affecting here. And like other businesses, banks and financial institutions have challenging time. As we are the net lenders, and businesses are suffering. Definitely, cash flows are suffering, and a lot of overdues are coming up. all jurisdictions, all the regulator has given relaxation to the customers, and they are telling the institution that you have to relax the period. Definitely, some of the institution has gone. Some of the regulator has given the relaxation up to 0% interest rate. In fact, in Bahrain, I remember that they have asked the banks not to charge the interest for the next 3 months or 6 months. Definitely. So and the banks are supporting. In fact, in Oman as well as Bahrain, every other country, they are supporting these relaxation that has been given. Definitely, is a part of community service as well as the regulator. You have to abide by that one. I think what we can't see right now, in fact, after the 3 months, 6 months down, how the business is going to react in the future. So I think that's where I think that the question mark will come up in future as well. And as you can see that when many countries, including the GCC countries, has been downgraded. So what it means that there's a borrowing cost, a burden to the economy as well, and revised GDP negatively growth. It's affecting the IFRS 9 provision. Definitely is going to affect the bottom line of the profit as well, and some of the organization will turn to the losses situation. So I think these type of things are really is a gloom area. In fact, we have to really concentrate on that side. Now, I'm not sure. In fact, just to give you a little bit more background on the Oman side, the people who are not aware of these the country, in fact, is a small country. Its population is 5 million. 50% expat, 50% is local people here, and we are banking industry is one of the highest localization ratio here, 90% in the GCC. It's one of the challenging environment. And while we are talking about the COVID challenge, in fact, we are having a two challenge. One is COVID, as one is the oil price as well. The oil price, in fact, definitely we're not going to discuss in detail in terms of the oil price impact, but I think it's coupled with these both together. In fact, it's really put a lot of pressure on those smaller countries, which is relying on the oil economy as well. So I think that's in terms of the overall banking industry, how is being suffering here in terms of the future as well. Now, I have split 1 to 2 points here, and I will not take more than I think 3 to 4 minutes to explain. I think there's one in discussion was there earlier that how to cope up with the COVID crisis situation. I think we don't have a choice but to live with the COVID situation and adopt the reality. In fact, the way of work to change. Online is everywhere. World is different now. We have to adapt, embrace the change. And that's, I think that those who are, I think that Umar had already highlighted few things that those who are reluctant to change, they are the failure in terms of. And that's the reason that we have to really adopt the change. One important aspect that is the team, in fact, that was missing in terms of, and we have briefly touched base in terms of various discussions that happened earlier, was the people, in fact. Umar Hayat highlighted that the people has to be involved. And I will just add on to that one, when the situation comes in like this, you have to involve the people in your organization on the day one. Because in order to gain the trust to them and to show them where the direction is going on. So I think it's very, very important that you have to increase the communication. On the day one, in fact, you have to tell them, look, what is the organization, how is going on, and it's going to affecting everyone. It's not, I think, that working from home is a holiday. In fact, it's more of a longer term, in fact, the way of life that we has to change. Definitely, it will turn to the various aspects of these various efficiency we need to create. We don't need a bigger house. We don't need a bigger head office as well. Definitely in future, we'll be working remotely, and we have to think about that one. So that's, I think, one of the things. And last thing that before I wrap up, that we have to move it from the traditional approach to the new reality as well. The customer and services, in fact, has to be served at the doorstep. That's what is about. We talked about a lot, I think, digitalization and everything. I'm not going to repeat the same thing here, but in terms of these, what the customer require, definitely customer require that whatever be action that he require, he has to be served, he has to be receiving on the doorstep. That's one of the important aspects. Now, I'll just express one more thing on these. Can you hear me?
Adnan, there is an echo.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's okay. Fine.
Okay, right. Now, if you look at it, we as a consultant also there.
People have to turn mute.
Hello.
People have to turn mute because that's why the echo is coming.
Oh.
Somebody's microphone is on.
Is it better now?
Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that we have, I think, learned in our ICAP training, in fact, in the organization, various organizations, and when there's some challenging time comes in, that we have to invoke the BCP, business continuity plan, drills and everything, in fact. And we have a lot of process, procedure, books, and these type of things. When I remember that when these crises came in here, and we have got a just direction that we have to shut down the business and have to reduce the number of staff. In fact, we really never refer to the document, which is very 60, 80 pages or 200 pages document. We just list down what are the key steps that we need to do, how to make sure that our business is up and running. And we decided within 3 hours in the night, from 9 o'clock till midnight, that what step we need to follow, what needs to be done. And it's just because we have all our staff, we made them access to the email, and we got WhatsApp group and everything. So that was, I think, one of the classic example of really test the businesses, which is going on right now at the moment. And I think one of the thing which is the last thing in my thought process is that people is very important. I think that's what we have to really think about it. Whether it's customer, whether staff, or whatever. I'll just give you an example. In fact, every year, every organization do a client gathering, staff gathering, iftar gatherings, right? A lot of things we do. So what I have done, in fact, here in Oman, what we have done, we said that instead of doing this iftar dinner, why can't my bank will be the host to the iftar party at their home? So what we have done, that we have just created one excitement opportunity, Q&A session type of thing, and then provide them a online access. And those who came with the good suggestions and everything, we have provided them a high-end iftar dinner at their home to the family, so that they are connected with us, in fact. So that's really important, that when these crises comes in, you have to ensure that you connected with your staff and you keep regular communication with them and make sure that they involve in the way that the navigation system, full navigation from the start till the end. They should know that where the organization is going on. People are all educated. In fact, they know, in fact, what the direction is going on, where the economy is going down. They know, in fact, one way or other way, in fact, they are going to squeeze the business, are going to squeeze, the staff is going to be retrenched. So I think they should be mentally prepared and they should be guided accordingly. I think that's not that it's just money you fire the people and so that's it. You need to guide them that, look, this is the reason, this is what the things are going to happen, and where you should keep looking at opportunities in the future type of thing. Then I think that's where the opportunity comes in.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. That's it. Thank you very much, Adnan भाई, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका. That Mr. Adnan, जैसे अदनान साहब बता रहे थे, अदनान हारून is the country head of HBL Habib Bank Limited in Oman. और जैसा कि शाहिद मुराद साहब ने भी जिक्र किया और अदनान साहब ने भी किया कि जो है इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी जो कंपनी है, उन्होंने काफी ग्रो किया है इस पेंडेमिक के अंदर. और नेवडेक के अंदर तकरीबन जो बिगेस्ट गेनर जो है यही लोग हैं, 17.2% इनके शेयर्स अब गए हैं, जिसमें अमेज़न, एप्पल, अल्फाबेट, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट और फेसबुक शामिल है. नाउ आई विल रिक्वेस्ट शफीकुर रहमान फ्रॉम कतर. शफीक भाई,
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me right, Asif? Voice is clear?
Yes, clear. Yes, clear.
Okay. Thank you, Asif, for inviting me to this event. I will not take a lot of time because I think we are already running short of time. My observation is that the opportunities were already there, but for some reason we were a bit afraid or we were avoiding it. For example, now just take the example of this event. How much time did it take to organize this? I think last week you already contacted me, maybe 7 days, 10 days, right? Just imagine that if you were holding this event earlier in the old days, then you need a full team, the background working, like I'm talking about the in-person event. If you wanted to have it in person, then it's very difficult and a lot of cost involved. You have a team working in the background, and you have to contact everyone, check the availability, then there's traveling, hosting cost, everything. So I think this is the new normal now. And I'm very much in favor of like meeting in person. Even after the inshallah we will go back to the normal, because obviously we are human beings, we are not the robots. We want to meet, we have to shake hands, we have to have dinner with each other, we have to see each other. So I'm very much in favor of like going back to the normal. But I think after this, once we go back to the normal, my suggestions to everyone is that to use this whatever we are doing, don't go back to the normal as we were doing. So maybe we can live with a combination of both technology and in person, whatever the best. So for example, like I'm part of a multinational company. I can tell you that how difficult it is to organize, for example, the board meetings. For the big bosses, you have to take the time, 3 months, you have to contact them, then you have to set the traveling dates and everything. We already had one board meeting last time, and I can tell you that we organized that meeting just in 1 week notice, and it was very good. And because I was taking, and the additional benefits too. I was one of the person who was taking the minutes. For me, it was very easy. You have to just put the recording. You don't need to worry about, taking the minutes and everything. So there's a lot of benefits. So my advice is when we go back, let's to the normal. Let's not go back to the normal like everything we start doing the same way again. So this is the one thing. Second thing that I noticed is staff, employees. Now you have a new trust level with your staff, with your team. Every one of us, we are working in the company, that like there are always like discussion, that person is coming late, that person is sitting late, that person is going, that person go 5 times for the smoking. I'm working very hard, I'm sitting every day very late, that person leaves early. All that has gone now. Because now everyone is working from home. You don't know how many times they are smoking, how much time they are like spending in the tea and other stuff. So now everything is moving to the strong KPIs. Now the performance and the trust level, now we are like entering into a new trust level with our team, with our staff. And again, my suggestion is that once we go back to the normal, we have to keep this trust level and the trusting continue like the same way. We should not go back to the normal and start doing. So now we can ask employees if they have the flexible. Sometimes someone wants to work from home, let them work from home. If someone wants to observe the flexible hours, let them do it. Because now we have to measure everything on the basis of KPIs, on the basis of numbers, on the basis of performance. All those things, all those what we have been discussing, and a lot of politics and other things were going on, and that has gone now. So my suggestion is if we will continue with the same setup again. And the third thing is, as you already know that like there are again, this is an opportunity. Lot of big companies, they are having their offshore offices. Like some companies, they have big offices in India, in Philippines, other companies, and in that way they are saving a lot of cost. So I have already started. If I give you my example, like in my company, I've already started working on it. And now, even if you have a small company, and because most of the panelists here and the people who are like speaking are overseas, now there's an opportunity that we start looking into that thing. So for example, and you don't need to be having a very big office or very big team that, okay, you have to set up the full department or the full function over there. You don't need to do that. For example, in my case, we have a team of 20 in the finance department. I'm seriously thinking that on my next hiring, maybe rather than hiring from in Qatar, what I can do, I can hire someone from the base country, and rather than bringing that person to my country, that person can work from home. And maybe I can a part of my team, I can build a team that can work from there. And I can tell you that it's a win-win situation. Win-win situation in a way, you can always offer that person a bit higher salary than the market because you can afford it. Because obviously, you guys know that when you pay in the local currencies, it's very high. When you convert into your home currency, there's very high amount. And then for that person can live with the family, he can have a good family life over there, flexible working hours, And on top of that, you can get a very quality work, because sometimes it's very challenging to find the quality workers in the local market. So in your home country, you can easily find that person. So I'm thinking that this is one opportunity, and that can affect on your cost, especially because now every business is struggling at the moment, and we are talking about the cost. So I think this is one of the opportunities, and we should always all be thinking about it. And again, I will repeat that you don't need to shift all the department, all the business functions. You don't need to go for the changing the whole thing. Maybe you can start slowly, 1%, 2% each department. Even if you can 20% or 30% this time, you can move offshore, then you can reduce your costs substantially. So this is one of the opportunities that I can think about. And one question that Hafiz raised, it was a good question, but I think the same thing that we discussed, many panelists already discussed, that if you're not using the technology, then you cannot blame others. I mean, obviously, we are living in a new era. One, you can do two things. One, you're just sitting over there, keep complaining. Okay, this is happening, that is happening, this is happening, that is happening. But ultimately, I mean, this is the new world. So if you are unskilled, then as Asif said, that then you have to start gaining skills, and you have to start learning new things. You should start and go for the new technology. So this is the thing, and it will take some time. But I mean, this is the new normal. You cannot avoid it. So thank you very much.
थैंक यू वेरी मच, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया शफीक साहब। अब मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा अरशद गाड़ी साहब, बड़े देर से इंतजार कर रहे हैं, बड़ी गहरी सोच में ये मसरूफ है, इन्होंने कुछ ना कुछ फार्मूला निकाल लिया है इस वक्त हम लोगों को कोविड से निकालने के लिए। अरशद भाई, to you.
Thank you, Asif Saab. Thank you. And I think you're right. I've been thinking sort of hard, and people have got their various ideas, and different solutions have been thrown in. लेकिन जैसा आपने कहा कि चेंज जो है ना, वो शुरू से हम बात करें, चेंज बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, बहुत ही ज़्यादा डिफिकल्ट है टू अब्सॉर्ब। तो हो ये रहा है कि बहरीन के अंदर तो ज़बरदस्त support has been given by the government authorities. They've been pumping in money to the economy. They put Tamkeen, which was already set up to support the economy, small businesses. They have been supporting on electricity, gas. Somebody has mentioned about the interest rates also. लेकिन हो क्या रहा है कि पैसे लगाने से काम नहीं होगा, काम होगा कुछ अपने आप को रेलेवेंट बनाने से। तो बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, बीइंग एन एडवाइजर मायसेल्फ, बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आ जाती हैं talking about what should we do now. I think that's the question we've been deliberating sort of hard enough, and I think we've been having conversations with you, Asif Saab, also, that technology की बात बार-बार की जा रही है, टेक्नोलॉजी के बगैर आंसर है ही नहीं। तो रेलेवेंट रहना है तो टेक्नोलॉजी लेके आनी ही है। द प्रोसेसेस जो अभी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं वो क्यों फेल हो रही हैं चेंजेस लाने में, मेन मसला यही हो रहा है कि दे आर नॉट निम्बल, दे आर एक्चुअली थिंकिंग यार अब कौन चेंज करे, यही चीज हम सालों से करते हुए आ रहे हैं, that will definitely work if we continue doing the same. सबसे बड़ा knee jerk reaction जो मैंने देखा है, which is surprising, that people want to go for cost cutting, which is a shocker to me. You know, in an organization, you've gone and grown an organization to this size, you want to cut cost, you don't want to talk about increasing revenue, you don't talk about growth. And growth in this day and age would not come without digitization. So what we are saying to our clients, so मैं ये sales pitch नहीं कर रहा, but I'm just giving an idea depending on number of organizations coming. अभी के लिए बोला जा रहा है कि अभी आज की तारीख में ट्विटर और फेसबुक और नए जमाने के लिंक्डइन बन रहे हैं। 10 साल के बाद हम पेंडेमिक को याद करेंगे और बोलेंगे कि these were the times which have new technologies have come by because of this pandemic, because that has made people think about it. तो हमारी suggestions organization के साथ क्या हो रही हैं, which has worked really well. You need to sit back and think, wear a whole towel on your head, think about it, strategize your business, and trying to sort of understand what this whole scenario is bringing to your organization. For example, अगर दुबई मॉल वैसे ही बैठा रहता कि यार मेरे मॉल में तो कोई आ नहीं रहा, तो वो noon.com के साथ collaboration नहीं करता to get online. Largest of the largest जो machines हैं, they have got two options: either they do nothing, or as Umar also said, be dead or be fast. So whoever is fast and then understand the relevance of their product market fit, they would continue to grow. So what we have suggested, that sit back, strategize your business. You would be surprised, and I'm telling you, you'll be surprised how much can be done online. So we talk about a lot about online, what is e-commerce, whether it's relevant for B2C businesses or B2B businesses or not. Definitely it is relevant for B2B businesses. The amount of new technology coming up, you can actually, in a largest of the largest scale of businesses like Pakistan Chen 1 gone online in 1 month. There is product available, which can, the platform is ready, you can just plug and play on top of it, and there you go, you're online. So what you need to do is just continue to just remove the complete shackles around you. आप organization में क्या होता है, बड़ी organization में आपको डब्बे में बंद कर दिया जाता है. If you don't take a startup approach to a new change of technology in particular, you will be gone. तो organization से जो बात चल रही है हमारी, उसमें यही चल रही है कि forget about all the corporate governance, all the nuts and bolts you have actually included in your organization, which had made it slow. What you do, you just bring in a complete startup approach to your change of bringing technology online, and that has worked really well. तो जब लोगों ने सोचना शुरू किया इस डायरेक्शन में, इस तरह से, इस माइंडसेट के साथ, in that new box frame of themselves, that this is a tech startup, and that definitely has paid dividends. So I've got multiple examples. Sirf mere paas as an advisor, around 15 to 20 opportunities hain. They're turning a business around to online business, digitizing a bank, for example, payment wallet, and you can create number of gateways, number of investment opportunities are coming out. So there is a lot of opportunity, but I think just what we have done to ourselves, we have not opened up the walls of our brains of thinking differently. If we don't think differently, I think we will be the survival of the fittest is the name of the game today. So Asif Sahab, I think with that said, अगर किसी को और कुछ मालूम करना है e-commerce platform से related या how to strategize your business, then I'm all available. Arshad Gadit, I've been here in Bahrain for last 8 years. Asif Sahab, back to you.
थैंक यू वेरी मच अर्शद, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. जैसा कि आपने बोला कि मेजर चेंजेस जो टॉप गेनर्स जो आ रहे हैं वो इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनी से, जैसे कि मैंने पहले बोला. इसके अलावा आपको पता है कि एक कंपनी जो है वो, टाइम शॉर्ट है, मैं बाद में बात करूंगा. पहले शोएब साहब काफी इंतजार कर रहे हैं. हम आकाओं के मुल्क, हमारे अपने आकाओं के मुल्क जो है चलते हैं. शोएब मेमन साहब इज अ वेरी एक्सपीरियंस्ड पर्सन, इज वन ऑफ द टॉप 100 Pakistanis living in UK, and he's connected in the board of director of a bank. And to you, Shoaib Saab.
Thank you, Asif Saab. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me start with this. As Adnan mentioned earlier, I have to put the usual disclaimer as well. Okay, anything I say is my own personal view. It's not to reflect the bank, but nevertheless, we learn from the organization we work for anyways. I'll just start with the quote we sort of frequently use here in this part of the world right now, which is never let a good crisis go waste. And that is exactly, I think, the topic of the webinar is important and relevant in that sense, that we have to learn from this crisis and what can we do differently and what can we do better. In my, I guess, 7-8 minutes, I'll try to split it in 3 different sections. So I'll just give you an overview of what is the damage done to the UK in terms of the crisis which has evolved on the back of coronavirus, COVID-19. I'll just briefly talk about the actions which have been taken to support the country. And then what I see as the way forward and the opportunities as well. So starting with the damage done to the UK, clearly this is a public health crisis which has turned into an economic crisis. To give you a sense in terms of the public health impact, UK deaths on the back of this virus are roughly around 50,000 right now. And there are about 300,000 cases at the moment in total. For European Union, the total deaths are around 130,000 and there are about 1.3 million cases. So clearly UK and Europe have been affected significantly by this health issue. On the economic front, we're expecting UK GDP for the second quarter to contract by about 20%. And for the full year, about 12%. For Europe, we're expecting it to be around 13% contraction and 7% for the whole year. So again, a massive economic impact. Another economic indicator is roughly about half of UK's workforce is either unemployed or underemployed. And by underemployed, I mean that the government started with a furlough scheme, which basically meant that the employees were asked to stand down. The employers were asked to stand down their employees, and the government compensated them for putting them, not making them redundant, but just asking them to stand down. Sectors which have been massively affected, it's, I think, the same story everywhere: travel and hospitality, retail, business in particular, and then associated with that is, to an extent, the large-scale industries as well, because of the reduced economic activity. Interestingly, the good thing about this is that this crisis hasn't turned into a banking crisis. Financial institutions this time around, unlike the financial crisis in 2008 and 9, have in fact been part of the solution. They have kept the payment system running. They made cash available. They made sure that the businesses are being supported in terms of the liquidity crisis as well. So as a banker, I think I take pride in how banks and financial institutions have supported this crisis. The financial crisis में तो bankers बड़ा abuse मिला था कि सब कुछ इनकी वजह से हुआ 2008-9 में. So this time around, we've rather been on the helping hand. So it's a good change in that sense. Now, just briefly touching on कि क्या actions लिए गए government की तरफ से, and to give you an idea, total package of government का announce हुआ to support businesses and individuals and households during this crisis is touching about 350 billion pounds. Unprecedented, never seen that scale of input from the government. और यूरोप में तो जो यूरोपियन यूनियन है उसमें तो it's almost touching about 1 trillion euros plus. So it is massive, and there are a number of schemes they've come up with. Just may they've announced loans for businesses, payment holidays, furlough scheme, as I mentioned. Rather than asking employers to make people redundant, the government has stepped in for a period of time to support them. VAT की reduction है, monetary policy action है, interest rate is probably at their lowest. We're expecting, in fact, the market is expecting negative interest rates in the UK fairly soon. But एक चीज हमें सोचनी पड़ेगी कि we will ultimately have to pay for all this action as well. So I think for now a lot of support has come in. Like sooner or later, the tax increases आएंगे, so eventually people have to pay for this as well. But anyways, we'll see how we come across this. Now, what do I see as the way forward and the opportunities? A lot of this depends के virus की अपनी trajectory क्या होती है, whether there will be a second wave or not. I personally believe that there will be second wave or third wave आएगी, लेकिन there will be, in terms of the magnitude or impact, कम होगा, क्योंकि काफी जो measures आए हैं उसकी वजह से people are more well informed about how to protect themselves, and perhaps the businesses and the governments are ready to deal with another wave as well. Associated with this is how households and businesses respond to the situation as well. There is a concern कि यहाँ पे एक negative feedback loop ना develop हो जाए, कि people stop spending money because they are concerned that they may be out of job. They are concerned that there will be another wave which will affect them significantly, and उसकी वजह से economic activity is further affected. So people don't go out and spend, and obviously that is an impact on the general economic activity. So there is a concern that there will be a negative feedback loop. And ultimately, obviously, it depends कि क्या fiscal or monetary action for the government ले सकती है. Although on the monetary side, I think there are limitations around what else can be done. Interest rates are already at their lowest. There's a lot of quantitative easing, जिसको basically I think अशवाक भाई ने earlier बोला था कि पैसे छापने जो है वो काफी चल रहा है already, और उसके पर inflationary consequences भी हैं. So let's see. Now, in terms of the opportunities, and I think this is relevant as I see it, the way forward and उसमें opportunities क्या develop होंगी, and this is where we have to explore. We've talked about it already, okay, and I'm very clear on this as well, that the recovery will be digital. Technology, we've talked about already. I don't want to go into a lot of detail. But just to give you an indication, okay, how the Bank of England is monitoring the improvement in the economic activity. And this is changing, by the way. Okay, you know, you don't have to wait for a lot of data for quarter end, for PMIs, purchasing manufacturers index hoti hai, ya is tarah ki cheezein. They are looking at real-time data from banks and financial institutions on payments. कि कहाँ पे पेमेंट्स हो रही हैं, किस किस्म की पेमेंट्स हो रही हैं, कौन से सेक्टर में एक्टिविटी चल रही है. They are looking at Google searches किस तरह की चल रही हैं, क्या ट्रेंड आ रहा है वहां से, कि लोग क्या गूगल पे सर्च कर रहे हैं, क्या ढूंढ रहे हैं. गूगल मैप्स की एक्टिविटी फॉर एग्जांपल देखी जा रही है कि लोग किस तरफ ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं, कौन से सेक्टर में एक्टिविटी ज्यादा है. तो clearly technology should be seen as a catalyst to bring this change in terms of the way forward as well. Agility, again, I think one of your speakers spoke about it quite a lot earlier on, how quickly organizations can transform themselves and manage the change. It is a very important point. We have to be agile, we have to be nimble, as Arshad mentioned earlier as well, to bring this change in. The other point I would mention, and again, this has been talked about earlier, is what we call it over here as operational resilience and financial resilience. Operational resilience, आपका business कितना robust है कि इस तरह के, hopefully not a major crisis, but छोटे crisis भी survive कर सके. That has to be ingrained in your thinking, in your day-to-day strategic planning, in your operating model planning. And equally, financial resilience, again, the speaker mentioned cash is king, absolutely. And, you know, आपका liquidity crisis can easily turn into a solvency crisis. और वहाँ पे काम आपको कैश ही आता है. और I think over ambitiousness कह लें या eagerness to grow कि आप जो है वो stretch कर लेते हैं अपनी balance sheet बहुत ज़्यादा, leverage बहुत ज़्यादा आ जाता है, and it comes back to haunt you. Then, and the other point I would say is flexibility for workforce. Again, we've talked about it clearly. Remote working is here to stay, and I think it's important organizations adopt a remote workforce as well. The concept has come into action already. It has worked well, and there's no reason why it shouldn't work well in the future as well. लेकिन उसके अपने consequences भी हैं. Performance management will be different. How you manage your employees, how you engage with them. And again, there should be opportunities in terms of how accountants or consultants can support organizations in this change. Real estate planning, you don't need huge offices anymore. Barclays के यहाँ पे जो chief है उसने openly बोला था कि they need to think about कि do they really have to have 7,000 employees in a huge tower in Canary Wharf, one of the commercial districts in London. If everything can work remotely, then why can't they adopt this in the future? And I think that is right. So that real estate planning के भी अपने कुछ consequences आएंगे. And एक और चीज जो मैं समझ रहा हूँ कि change होगी is कि आपके future employment contracts performance based contracts होंगे. I think that will change as well. कि आप deliverables पे focus करेंगे, आप results पे focus करेंगे और output पे करेंगे. और you know ये जो एक normal एक trend रहा है कि permanent employment शायद ना हो in the future. This will change. One other thing, in my personal opinion, we have to think about as leaders of different organizations, be it small or large scale, कि आपका purpose क्या है society में? You know, what value you are adding to the society, and how do you support the society in difficult times? Because, you know, once you support individuals or organization in difficult times, they will be your customers or clients for rest of your life. And it is an important point कि आप उस चीज को certainly consider करें in how you deal with the situation. Lastly, again, we talk about this quite a lot at our end, in our organization, in different forums I speak and I talk to people, globalization. Whether this will continue or the globalization trends we've seen in the past. More recently, बड़ी एक nationalistic approach आ गई है काफी economies में, whether this is short term, whether this is longer term. I think globalization is here to stay. It is not going to go away. थोड़ा बहुत प्रोटेक्शनिस्ट एलिमेंट आ जाएगा इकोनॉमीज में, लेकिन what again we have seen is that the viruses cross the borders very easily, and you can only deal with this through global coordinated action. So yes, there would be an interim sort of short-term protectionist attitude towards things, but globalization is here to stay and it's not going to go away. So that's my view on the things. I've just ended with one last comment. We should never underestimate human ingenuity, and by that I mean our ability to adapt to different situations and create opportunities out of adversities. And I think we are resilient as a species. We adapt to different situations very quickly, and we adjust ourselves, and we should remain optimistic, and we should look at what are the opportunities out of these difficult times as well. And there are quite a few, and I'm sure businesses can take benefit of these as well. So that's it from my side. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Shoaib bhai. Thanks a lot. जो आपने किया है, if I trust, मैं इसको अगर करूँ, summarize करूँ कि basically thing is what you are saying on the micro level, or a macro level, you have to keep cash in hand. Second thing is that there are opportunities there. You have to see that what are the opportunities coming. But if you are running out of cash, it means that you have to reduce your expenses. Already due to pandemic, I think some of the expenses have been curtailed. Rents have gone down in places. Your transport costs have gone down, and traveling costs especially have gone down. A little bit increase have been seen throughout the world in this, especially the food stuff. And I see that prices have not gone too much high, but it's controllable. So to summarize that one, and I will request, I think Mr. Asad Abbas has to go somewhere. I will request Mr. Asad to share your views. Asad from Canada.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Asif bhai. It's really great to be here. Thanks to all the participants for sharing their views, for the presenters. I'll straight jump to the things that I have to say. So Mexico City, 2019, one of the busiest cities in terms of traffic. What does Burger King do? It develops an app. It goes to every car for the order they've placed, and they give their order right inside their car. So while the drivers are getting bored, people get their orders, and frustration of the traffic and the pollution, both noise and air, gets reduced, and people get their orders delivered. And they're enjoying their food while driving. Another example, 3rd August 2016, Emirates flight 521. So this flight came from India, and it was scheduled to be landing in Dubai airport. It is Boeing 777 and 300. There were 300 passengers totally in the plane. While the plane was landing, it did a crash landing. There were 18 crew members. The plane landed in less than 9 minutes. There was a blast inside the plane, and it was on fire. However, the response from the Emirates Airlines was amazing. They were able to save all the passengers on the plane, all. There was one firefighter that lost their life. Why did I give these examples? But before I go there even, how did China respond to the same thing that all the world has been doing? In the Wuhan province, the city, they actually closed it down and gave the world a lesson on how to become resilient and come back to life normally. These 3 examples at an organization level, at a personal level, at a small organization level, problems are same. I've used this phrase a lot in my life. Whenever it rains, all the birds will take shelter. There's eagle that will fly over the clouds to avoid the rain. So that's the only bird who does that. So what I meant to say in all this is, take COVID or any other problems, you will keep facing problems in your life. What matters is how you respond to it. So now I come to COVID to see, to give you the stats. So somebody already mentioned there were 14.2 million cases, 9.2 million have been closed. So that's a good thing. There have been several deaths here. But in terms of Canada, what did Canada do? There are totally 110,000 cases. There have been 8,000 deaths. So in terms of, let's say, population, yes, it does look high, 8% almost deaths in terms of the cases found. But how did they reduce it? They knew that their infrastructure of health cannot take so many cases. So right from the front, they locked it down. Mandatory lockdown, fines. How did they then turn around? They started giving individuals some benefits of staying at home, job reductions, all those things. Schools became online. So how you respond to things matters the most, and it matters how you react to things. If you look at the impacts in terms of US has shed almost 30 million, I think, jobs, and it is by the Washington Post news. Canada has lost more than 3 million jobs. The total population is 37 million. So you can well imagine the impact of the problem. 21% of the US labor force filed for unemployment. And in Canada, we had around 8 million applications. So the country started responding to things very, let's say, promptly, and in the fashion that would correspond to the problems people are having. So take it to a micro level. Munib is my class fellow. 2008-9, he came to Pakistan. He had graduated from US, and he was looking for some option. And he built a company called SNL. It's now S&P Global. It was providing financial analysts to global companies, and now they're doing some conversion of audio transcripts, you can say. He sold that. He founded Daraz PK with other people. It had only one IT person. Then he went along. He has done Baikia project now, and he'll move to next one. I know personally how he's changed his life. So at a personal level, he's done so many things for the country. And what has he done in Baikia, basically? He's asked people to use the resources that they have. Bike, which is very common in Karachi, and then a mobile phone. So having looked at three, four economies very closely from where I was born in Pakistan, and then Saudi Arabia, then UAE, and now I'm in Canada for the last 5 years. We all keep pushing some, let's say, buzzwords, and they're all important. Yes, technology is important. But if I give an iPhone to somebody who doesn't know how to use it, yes, they will make calls, they'll send messages, but if they cannot use it to its potential, it's no use. So yes, technology should be there, but you should know how to use it. You should train your employees as well. And how you respond to things matters a lot. In my personal example, I was helping a client. The client was all paper-based. Only transactions were posted in the system. That's it. Everything, there were piles, I used to call it heaps of paper that they used to have. We made them online in 3 to 4 days' time. That's it. And they are people who have never worked from home. Imagine, never worked from home. In 5 days' time, we ordered the systems, we got them the laptops, we delivered them to their homes. The IT team worked days and nights to educate them on how to use VPN and all those things. And this is what I'm talking about Canada. The reason I'm saying all this is because people bring, let's say, examples of Pakistan, skilled workers. No, every one of us is skilled. People who, even रेड़ा चलाने वाला भी अपना एक skill रखता है, right? अब problem क्या है कि how to convert it, people say normally. अब इधर businesses जब खत्म होना शुरू, they went online. There was no other way, right? You have to keep making business. And some people said, I think it was the Pakistan Business Council who said, कि आपने online जाना ही जाना. You have to get your revenue back. So either you take the fear or you respond to it. So when we say converting threats to opportunities, I have a different mindset here. I think it's not threat even. It's people who are perceiving it as a threat, but how they respond, it turns it into opportunity very quickly. So it's not even a threat. It's a risk that you calculate and then respond accordingly, according to your circumstances. So if I give you one thing that you do and you make it, let's say, work for yourself, it may not work for the other. So I can keep spelling out those, let's say, buzzwords and all those things, just transform technology, change management. Yes, change is inevitable. It will keep coming. Technology, it will, let's say, change before even you realize. So how you react and respond to it is what matters. You are as powerful as you think. एक बंदे को अल्लाह ताला ने बहुत सलाहियतें दी हैं. But the problem is sometimes we don't realize how much potential we've got. मगर कभी कभी लोग इतने पावरफुल हो जाते हैं हालात के हाथों तंग आके और वो खुद ही इस तरह रिस्पॉन्ड करते हैं कि दे बिकम वेरी पावरफुल, वेरी मैनेजेबल, दे मैनेज देयर ओन फ्यूचर. I know it's easily said than done. मैंने ये किया खुद. I come from a very, very humble family background, but then I grew up, and then many of these chartered accountants that were with me previously in my batches, I've seen them growing. So I think we've got that capability or potential, but the problem is we keep looking for things to happen. We keep looking for people and leaders to follow. We don't lead ourselves. तो जो मुझे किसी हद तक भी जानते हुए देखते हैं कि we need to be leaders not only to create followers but to create further leaders. इस तरह जब करते जाएंगे, do we have the basic skill set and the potential and how we need to interact, ये सारी चीजें they will come into place automatically. ये हो नहीं सकता कि ये ना हो सके. अल्लाह ताला ने आपको बहुत ज्यादा potential दिया हुआ है. It's just how you react to things, how you do various things differently. अब देखें, with COVID several businesses closed down. Globally airlines closed down हो गई. With that came some opportunities. Healthcare sector एकदम improve होना शुरू हुआ. Sanitization, mask वगैरह, millions बन रहे हैं अब. Even GMC type companies they changed their let's say machinery and they started delivering ventilators to US. अब देखें, जो Great Depression आया था, it brought, what did it bring after that? GE, Disney, HP, right? अब दोबारा जब 2008 में रिसेशन आया था, what did it bring to us? Airbnb, Credit Karma, Uber, Slack. जब भी इस तरह की चीजें आई हैं, now we should be looking at what can we do now to bring those similar sorts of situation to us. अब आप देखें, कोर्स दे businesses grow किए हैं काफी. Online training, videos, ये आप सब कर सकते हैं. I think even the participants, online mentoring, coaching, help people. I mean, yes, you are providing services, you are working for money, but your element of service or goods provision should be to help people at the end of the day. जब आप लोगों को help करना शुरू करते हैं, it pays two folds. एक तो आपको पैसे तो मिलते हैं, right? And then you get rewarded by Allah as well because you're helping them come to, let's say, come at par or give them a breathing space. अब देखें, logistic services, online deliveries, ये सारे businesses develop होना शुरू हो गए हैं और बहुत ज़्यादा grow भी किए हैं. Amazon, one of the highest times for Amazon. ठीक है, कुछ boom आया, Netflix देखें, online servicing है. The reason I jumped from these different topics to one another is the main idea or concept I wanted to give with this audience was problems really is the same. It always depends on how you react to different things. Many questions bhi padhe the, so I wanted to address those types of questions as well. You can go Google everything and you'll find all those stats, right? Kitne log mar gaye, kitne zinda ho gaye. That will remain. There is a possibility that life will change for the good and for always. Ho sakta hai, social distancing might remain for years. Corona gaya, koi aur virus aa jaye. So it is always you as a person, as an organization, on how you react to that disaster. और ये इसी तरह आते रहेंगे. Tsunamis आएंगे, कुछ और हो जाएगा. Problems will keep coming. It's
Excellent.
you are right, and how you react to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Excellent. Excellent. आपने काफी solution बताए, काफी जो है लोगों को बताया कि क्या इसकी solution है और किस तरह react करना है. Thanks a lot. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आसिफ साहब. Now to our hero, celebrity of ICAP in US. So वकार साहब, आप बताएंगे NAFDAC के क्या हालात हैं और क्या आप लोग कर रहे हैं अमेरिका में, जो आपने 3.7 मिलियन लोगों को कोरोना लगा दिया आपने, और
the highest शाहरुख खान of ICAP.
हाँ, शाहरुख खान सर, ये अनिल कपूर, आप देखें शक्ल भी मिलती हुई है.
Okay.
आवाज आ रही है
सर? आवाज की तस्वीर भी आ रही है
माशाल्लाह
से. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, please.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन. पहली तो ये कि मेरे ख्याल से 15 साल से जब से पाकिस्तान छोड़े तो 20 साल हो गए, लेकिन ये कि काफी सारे लोगों को एक साथ देखकर बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. ऐसा लग रहा है कि बैक टू फैमिली. काफी सीनियर मेंटोर्स हैं, तो बहुत शुक्रिया आसिफ भाई मुझे आपने इन्वॉल्व किया इसमें. देखें, बहुत सारी चीजें फॉर लास्ट 2 आवर्स बहुत सारे लोगों ने डिस्कस की हैं, तो मैं वो रिपीट नहीं करूंगा क्योंकि वो फिर रिडंडेंट बात हो जाती है कि ओके टेक्नोलॉजी की बात कर दी, राइट. यू नो वी नीड टू टॉक अबाउट कि हम किस तरह से इस कोविड जैसी सिचुएशन को हेज करें। अब हेज का मतलब यह है कि जब 2008 आया तो मैं AIG में बैठा हुआ था, उस 3rd फ्लोर पे बैठा हुआ था मैं, जहां पर जब फेड आया है, एंड देन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कि किस तरह से फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस को सॉल्व किया जाए। उस वीकेंड में जब लीमन हुआ, I was in my office and my boss actually told me that, hey kid, we don't know we will be able to get into our office on Monday. वो वाला क्राइसिस भी देखा in the completely reiterate what most of the people said.
Vakar, your voice is cutting and we cannot see a picture. Your bandwidth is slow. हमें समझ में अमेरिका की सबसे अच्छी आनी चाहिए रिसेप्शन, हॉलीवुड वाली रिसेप्शन।
आपके लिए या मेरे लिए आप हेलो
Vakar, your voice is cutting. आपका bandwidth is showing that your bandwidth is low. मैं कह रहा हूँ हॉलीवुड वाले रिसेप्शन चाहिए मूवी का, तो your voice was cutting just to interrupt you.
अभी आवाज आ रही है नहीं आ रही?
जी आ रही है।
Vakar, you need to connect to the Wi-Fi, not from your mobile data, which I think you have not paid the bill of.
यार मेरे घर पर बच्चे रुके हुए हैं बहुत सारे, 4-5, तो वो इंटरनेट यूज कर रहे हैं, so that's the problem. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Hello?
can hear you.
No, I think your voice is breaking.
Hello?
You can start.
आप अपने वीडियो ऑफ कर दो, सस्ता काम करो, वॉइस सही आएगी। ये कर क्या लगता है?
अच्छा आवाज आ रही है अभी? Hello?
Now it's better. Yes, better.
Yeah, so what I was saying is कि opportunity for one person could be distressed for another person. So what we need to do is, as a profession, number one के jobs तो जा रहे हैं, problems तो हो रहे हैं, लेकिन I keep saying in our ICAP community as well, networking, right? You know, a lot of people are going to lose their job, but those who are going to survive this crisis have good connection, जो networking है, resources हैं, अपने network के अंदर tap into करने की position में है वो लोग survive कर जाएंगे। अब किस तरह survive करेंगे कि छोटे-छोटे से अगर आपने groups बनाए हुए हैं, हर किसी के अपने recruiter से अगर network है, तो try to introduce your friends to your network and try to help them. I think that's the way we can survive this crisis, number one. Number two, जो टेक्नोलॉजी की बात की बहुत सारे लोगों ने, मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूं, just want to make sure, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so just to give you an example, real life example, बहुत सारे लोगों ने टेक्नोलॉजी की बात की, right? So S&P is around flat right now for the year, and NASDAQ is up 17%, and NASDAQ is a portfolio of a bunch of technology companies. So that is telling you that how much technology is booming, just to confirm what everybody else said. Now, just to give you one practical example, कि historically जो reporting का काम है, financial reporting का काम, या management reporting का काम, या planning का काम, या budgets का काम, I think ये कैसर साहब ने या शफीक ने ये पॉइंट बनाया था, अजमान भाई ने ये पॉइंट बताया था, हुआ ये कि जब क्राइसिस आते हैं तो टॉप मैनेजमेंट जो होती है वो आपको ये कहती है कि भाई मुझे बताओ कि डिफरेंट सिनेरियोज में how you are going to take care of our finances, right? What's going to be the bottom? अगर जीडीपी इतनी गिर जाती है, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट इतना रेज हो जाता है, ये हो जाता है। अब अगर आप कंपनी एक बहुत बड़ा बैंक है जिसका इंटरैक्शन जो है 50 डिफरेंट डिपार्टमेंट से होता है, जिसको स्प्रेडशीट्स मिलती हैं 200-500 स्प्रेडशीट, जस्ट इमेजिन कि आपका सीएफओ ये क्वेश्चन आपसे कर रहा है क्योंकि यू आर इन द मिडल ऑफ क्राइसिस एंड you will not be able to deliver. And then eventually what's going to happen is you will be compiling spreadsheets, working day and night, and those scenarios which your boss is asking, that hey, if GDP falls down, if a bunch of our clients default, if a bunch of our clients tap into equity, जो equity होती है या line of credit होता है, what will be the impact on our capital? You will not be able to cope up with that. So अब इस क्राइसिस ने एक एग्जांपल क्या दी लोगों को ये बताया कि भाई देखें, ये एक्सेल फाइल का जमाना चले गया है, ये सिस्टम से डाउनलोड करने का जमाना ऑफ implementing systems. So system क्या कि भाई वो एक system है, वो सारी चीजों को data input करता है. There are too many stakeholders connected to that system. That application is compiling the data. That application is producing the output in matter of hours rather than matter of days and weeks. And that is basically an eye opener for a lot of companies, and that provides an opportunity for a lot of us accountants and advisors like Arshad के उन companies को बताया जाए कि भाई आपने ये काम कर लिया, आपने देख लिया crisis के अंदर, you were not able to respond. Definitely, a lot of people lost job. You need to implement this solution. Long term, it's going to cost you. Short term, it's going to cost you some money, but long term, it's going to evolve it. And then you're talking about reporting functions. You're talking about policy function. You're talking about closing the books function and all that. अब मैं आपको एक और एग्जांपल दूं. So ये हो गई टेक्नोलॉजी की बात. एक और मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूं कि I have run reporting functions, SEC reporting, controllership function जो books close करते हैं accountants. जब 20 लोगों की टीम होती थी हमारी, तो हम सैटरडे संडे भी ऑफिस जाते थे आज से 10 साल पहले या 8 साल पहले, और हमारे जहनों में ये चीज होती थी कि एक साथ बैठेंगे तो काम होगा वरना काम नहीं होगा. बॉस को बैठना है, पूरी टीम जो है वो साथ बैठेगी. वही somebody said that okay, you have to show up. Showing up is basically 95% of work, and then 5% of work is basically you actually deliver the work. So that kind of mindset has completely changed right now. Imagine top firms on Wall Street are closing their books remotely. People have not gone to work for last 5-6 months. They have filed their Qs and Ks on time without any delays. That is giving a loud and clear message to people that we need to get out of this mindset that, hey, we all have to sit together. We all have to work together in a room or in an office. We can deliver in a place where we don't have to be in front of each other together. Thank you. So that is the change mindset, right? So we talk about technology, we talk about networking. अब accountants जो हैं हम लोग, हमारा जो है एक problem है वो ये है कि comfort zone में रहना. Most of the model is एक job है, वही accounting की job है, debit credit किए जा रहे हैं. gap को US gap थोड़ा सा आता है तो उसके ऊपर हम सोच रहे हैं कि we conquer the world. The old school mindset and all that. I think my advice to people is explore and learn new things when it comes to investments, right? So people said, okay, it's a downtime. It's taken away a lot of wealth from people. People are struggling. I say it's an opportunity, and I give you examples why it's an opportunity. Interest rate is a historical low. If you just Google it up, and I'm talking about US, right? आपको एक एवरेज नेबरहुड में the cap rate मिलता है property के ऊपर is like 8 to 10%, right? Interest rate on mortgages, which US Federal Reserve is giving you is around 3%. If you have taken investment properties at 3.25%. If you have down payment, all you have to do, you need to have a good credit, go to the bank, find a good property, borrow money at 3.5%, put down 20%, invest in 8%. Just think about it. You have 5x leverage. Your basis difference is 5. There you go. You don't have to do anything. Just put down 20%, multiply by 5, 25% return in US. And I have done it, delivered it. Now, what happens is these are the opportunities. All you need to do is use your cash, invest in real estate. In next year, what's going to happen is when crisis is going to go away, usually real estate rallies, you can tap into HELOC, you can tap into loan equity. And then another thing people need to do is they need to invest in stocks. They need to learn how to invest in options. They need to learn how to, how to whether they're only one job earning, because हमारे सबके दिलों में एक खौफ ये होता है कि कल जॉब चली जाएगी तो क्या होगा. I think you need to find out ways to make money, and that is basically coming from my community as well and my roots as well. But as I keep saying that, then you can sleep well. You can be an entrepreneur like Sarmad, who has ventured many things. You could be an entrepreneur like Asif yourself, right? You're an accountant, but now you're an eye candy of business community in Dubai as well. So I think that's another advice I would like to give people, that, okay, invest, learn new things. Either it's a Bitcoin, either it's options, either in stocks, either it's real estate, either anything, so you have to do that. and blockchain and all that is also very important, but you know it comes with a lot of that as well. And another thing, just 2 minutes, right? जो हमें बहुत important है, जो I think I feel I have to do a better job as well. ये जो work from home का मसला है, the work from home has put us into this habit of staying in front of our computer all the time. मैं सुबह 7:30 बजे उठता हूँ, कॉफी पकड़ता हूँ अमेरिकन्स की तरह, एंड मैं कंप्यूटर के सामने बैठ जाता हूँ, फिर मैं रात 12 बजे तक काम करता रहता हूँ. फैमिली कंप्लेन कर रही है, बच्चे कह रहे हैं अब्बू हैं नहीं हैं, यू नो पता चला वो बड़ी हो जाएंगी, फिर वो you know, and then अब्बू मिस करते रहेंगे इनको and all that. I think this work from home thing need to inculcate discipline ourselves in a way कि हमें अपनी फैमिली के लिए टाइम निकालना है, हमें एक्सरसाइज करनी है, हमें डिनर उनके साथ करना है, हमें मेक श्योर करना है कि सिर्फ घर में मौजूद होना ही जरूरी नहीं है. You have to connect with your people, your family emotionally. You have to turn off your computer. You have to turn off your cell phone. All these are basic things. बच्चे को भी पता है, लेकिन I think we don't realize. And दूसरी चीज ये कि किस तरह से टीम बिल्डिंग की जाए, I believe शायद मुराद and शफीक the same thing. ये virtual happy hours जो होते हैं, जो अभी हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, ये virtual happy hour है, I think, you know. It's like all my friends are with me, you know, my family is with me. अशफाक भाई भी हैं, अदनान भाई भी हैं, you know, gave me opportunity to meet many seniors. Basically, this virtual happy hour is a way to connect to each other's of team things have given us opportunity where we don't have to be fancy with the technology. Yes, maybe mera internet suck because you know I'm trying to save money, as you said, but still, you know, we don't have to stay close to each other. We can go online and help each other and be connected. That's what you need to do with your teams and whole 9 years. I think these are the things.
Thank you very much, Waqar.
You know,
which
you need to US specific में ज़्यादा बात करूँगा because data available. I apologize.
Okay, thanks a lot, Waqar. Yeah, Waqar. Thanks, Waqar. We are running short of time, तो मैं गुजारिश करूँगा हमारे दो और स्पीकर और रह गए हैं. अशफाक बटाविया साहब is very well known. He's a writer also. He writes on so many topics. और अभी जो दो जो आखिरी जो लोग हैं वो राइटर भी हैं और बड़े ही उनका जो है ना न्यूज़ के ऊपर और सारी चीज़ों के ऊपर बड़ी नज़र रहती है. तो अशफाक बटाविया साहब, to you from Ashfaq Batavia is placed in Saudi Arabia. Ashfaq sir.
Okay. Thank you, Asif bhai. Assalamu alaikum, all my panelists, participants and speakers. अभी लोगों ने काफ़ी बातें की. टेक्नोलॉजी यस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट और असदाबाद साहब ने बहुत अच्छे सोल्यूशन दिए. सबसे बड़ा जो चेंज लाना है हमें हमारे अपने माइंडसेट में लाना है. ठीक है, माइंडसेट ये है कि हमारा एक माइंडसेट बना हुआ है कि हमने जॉब करनी है. इस वक्त आप देख रहे हैं कि जॉब लोगों की जा रही है, हर जगह जा रही है. सऊदीया में भी जा रही है, पाकिस्तान में भी जॉब लॉस हो रही है. तो मैं हमेशा जॉब के बारे में ये कहता हूँ, जॉब एक ऐसी गर्लफ्रेंड की तरह है जो होती तो बड़ी खूबसूरत है, लेकिन आपको नहीं पता होता कि आपके पास रहेगी नहीं रहेगी. हमेशा जो एंटरप्रेन्योर का कॉन्सेप्ट है, जो बिजनेस का कॉन्सेप्ट है, वो आपकी वाइफ की तरह होती है, चाहे खूबसूरत हो ना हो, उसने आपके साथ रहना है हमेशा. तो अगर हमने अपना माइंडसेट सिर्फ ये चेंज कर देंगे, हमें एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की तरफ जाना है, हमें अपना बिजनेस करना है, अपना काम करना है किसी भी लेवल पे. मैंने बहुत से लोग देखे, अभी हाल में मुझे एक साहब 4-5 महीने पहले उनकी जॉब चली गई. वो मेरे पीछे थे कि यार कहीं हो जाए, कोई मामला हो जाए. वो नहीं हो सके. मुझे थोड़े दिनों पहले पता चला कि उन्होंने पढ़े लिखे आदमी, उन्होंने वेजिटेबल सप्लाई शुरू कर दी थी और उनको कोविड-19 का जो मसला हुआ उसमें उनका बिजनेस बड़ा पीक पकड़ गया और अच्छे खासे अब वो बल्कि वो एक आध बंदा ढूंढ रहे हैं अपने लिए, अपने पास रखने के लिए. तो आप ये सोचें कि चाहे टेक्नोलॉजी आ रही है, सब कुछ आ रहा है, अगर आपने अपने माइंडसेट जो हमारा गुलामी का तोक है कि हमने नौकरी करनी है, मुझे किसी फर्म में किसी जगह जाके मुझे, ठीक है अच्छी बात है, इट्स वेरी गुड, हमारा करियर है, सब कुछ है, बहुत अच्छी चीजें, लेकिन इस वक्त बहुत ज्यादा चेंजेस आ रही है, वल्नरेबल हो रहा है, पूरी दुनिया इकोनॉमिक्स क्राइसिस में आ रही है. तो वहाँ आपकी जॉब चली जाती है. जब ये चीजें जाती हैं और ये जॉब आपकी कॉम्पिटेंसी की वजह से नहीं जा रही, आप एक्सेस बैगेज बनते जा रहे हो उन कंपनीज के लिए. जाहिर है आप रोक नहीं सकते किसी को, आप अपनी किस्मत किसी के हाथ में नहीं दे सकते. अगर आपने अपनी किस्मत किसी के हाथ में देनी तो दिस इज योर चॉइस. लेकिन अगर आपने किसी भी लेवल पे बिजनेस शुरू किया, किसी भी लेवल पे एफर्ट शुरू की और अपने आप को रिस्क लेना शुरू किया, रिस्क टेकर बनना शुरू किया, तो याद रखिएगा आज नहीं 6 महीने, साल, 2 साल बाद यू गेट व्हाट यू आर. तो सबसे बड़ा बेनिफिट इस वक्त ये है कि टेक्नोलॉजी ज़रूर है आपके पास, टेक्नोलॉजी को बिल्कुल यूज़ करना सबसे आसान है इस वक्त। टेक्नोलॉजी ने आपका काम बड़ा आसान कर दिया। ऑनलाइन औरतें भी काम कर रही हैं, मेल भी फीमेल सब काम कर रहे हैं और बहुत बड़ी इंडस्ट्री बन चुकी है। हमारे सॉरी मैं अपने मुल्क के अंदर आउटसोर्सिंग का हमारे हमारे आउटसोर्सिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट इतना आम, हमारे जो पाकिस्तान के अंदर आउटसोर्सिंग की इतनी कैपेबिलिटीज नहीं है। मैं जो इतने ज़्यादा चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट निकल रहे हैं हमारे मुल्क में, मैं ये रिक्वेस्ट भी करूंगा कि हमारे अंदर ये कॉन्सेप्ट आना चाहिए। आप देख रहे हैं हमारे पड़ोसी मुल्क में, आप जाएं, बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां सऊदीया से जाके आउटसोर्स कर रही हैं उनको। हमारे पास हमारे मुल्क में कैपेसिटी नहीं है कि हम जाके उनको कहेंगे भाई आउटसोर्स करें। कितनी कंपनियां हमारी आउटसोर्सिंग की फॉर्मली इनकॉर्पोरेट हो चुकी हैं और हम कितने लोगों को अकोमोडेट कर सकते हैं अगर ये इंडस्ट्री हमारी काम कर जाए और हम एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की तरफ जाएं। सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर इस वक्त जो हालात चल रहे हैं, कोरोना ने एक चीज सिखा दी लोगों को कि आप घर बैठे हर चीज कर सकते हैं। यू कैन डू एवरीथिंग। आपकी किसी भी चीज में चेंज नहीं है। ठीक है, हम फिजिकली ज़ाहिर इंटरेक्शन नहीं रहा, लोग बाहर नहीं जा पा रहे, वो एक अलग मसला है। कुछ इंडस्ट्रीज बड़ी इम्पैक्ट हुई हैं, लेकिन आप देखिएगा कि 6 महीने के बाद जो बिजनेसमैन है वो फिर से खड़ा हो जाएगा, लेकिन जिसकी जॉब चलेगी वो क्या करेगा? तो जब आपके साथ ये सिचुएशन आती है, बेशक आप जॉब जरूर ढूंढें, लेकिन एक माइंड सेट रखें कि मैं एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की तरफ जाऊं। आज सब इतनी सारी वेबसाइट्स मौजूद हैं, आप अपना काम शुरू करें, वहां से काम लें और काम को प्रमोट करें। यकीन माने ये कुछ ना कुछ आपके साथ अच्छा ही होगा। जैसे मैं मेरा ये अपना जाती तजर्बा भी है और मैंने उन लोगों को देखा है। तो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट जो फैक्टर है, क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी के बाद मुझसे माशाल्लाह बड़े अच्छे लोग हैं जिन्होंने बड़ी अच्छी बातें की हैं और ज़ाहिर है कि जितनी बड़ी एग्जांपल और सॉल्यूशन दिए तो उसको रिपीट करने का फायदा नहीं। जो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ मैं कह रहा हूँ, अपना माइंडसेट बदलें। आप बिजनेस की तरफ आए, वो कहते हैं ना हमारे कम्युनिटी में कहते हैं धंधा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। आप बिजनेस, तो जब आप ये शुरू करेंगे ना, आप देख लें जितने बड़े बड़े लोग बने हैं उनके उनके बाप ने, उनके दादा ने कुछ ना कुछ शुरू बहुत इनिशियल स्टेज पे किया होगा। और अब तो हमारे पास पूरी, जैसे इस टेक्नोलॉजी ने सिर्फ ये बात नहीं कि कोविड-19 ने तो हमें रियलाइज कराया कि भाई टेक्नोलॉजी मौजूद है और हमें इस पे क्या काम करना है। वरना तो ये टेक्नोलॉजी बड़ी बड़ी हर जगह जाएं, आप बिजनेस आराम से पकड़ सकते हैं। यहाँ बैठे हुए आप अमेरिका में अपने दोस्त से बात करें, अपने कॉन्टेक्ट लाएं, वहां से काम लें। जिस तरह वकार ने कहा कि जितना इंटरेक्शन साथ रखेंगे उतना फायदा है आपके साथ। तो आप पाकिस्तान में बैठ के, आप सऊदीया में बैठ के, मैं कितने ऐसे लोगों को जानता हूँ जो मुल्क से बाहर बैठे हुए सऊदीया के काम कर रहे हैं, सऊदीया में बैठे हुए किसी और जगह का। मुझे तो आसिफ जमान इज द बेस्ट एग्जांपल हमारे लिए। इनका आप देखेंगे माशाल्लाह दुबई में है, लेकिन इनकी हर जगह अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह इनकी हर जगह वेंचर बने हुए हैं। तो ये सबसे बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है। जिस दिन आपने ये काम शुरू किया, आप, और जो हमारे हफीज भाई ने एक सवाल बड़ा अच्छा पूछा था कि अनस्किल जो लेबर है, अनस्किल लेबर कभी भी भूखा नहीं मरता। उसके अंदर सब, क्योंकि देखें प्लम्बर है, जो बाल काटने वाला, आप खुद देख रहे हैं हेयर ड्रेसर जो बैठे हुए हैं, जब हम निकले हैं सब तो लाइनें लगी हुई थी, सबने बाल कटाने थे। तो वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता। सिर्फ जो डिफरेंस आता है वो ये आता है कि आपने टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज कैसे करना है। और टेक्नोलॉजी के यूज के लिए हमें कोई बहुत बड़े बड़े सॉफ्टवेयर की जरूरत नहीं है। हम अपने व्हाट्सएप, फेसबुक पेज बनाएं अपने और अपने आप को प्रमोट करें। आप देखें, मुझे एक सोशल साइड है, पता नहीं वो लेडी शायद जियो पे भी आई थी, उन्होंने शुरू किया था, वो सऊदीया में रहती थी। उन्होंने फन में ये साइट बनाई थी और आज कहाँ से कहाँ पहुंच गई हैं, मुझे एग्जैक्टली उसका नाम याद नहीं। तो जब आप ये जितनी भी जो सोशल मीडिया की साइट है उससे भी पॉजिटिव यूज कर सकते हैं, उसके साथ भी आप चल सकते हैं। तो ये आपके साथ प्रॉब्लम, हमारे जितने चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट जो निकल रहे हैं, जो जिनकी जॉब जा रही हैं, वो अपने आउटसोर्सिंग में आ सकते हैं, कंसल्टेंसी बिजनेस में आ सकते हैं और दूसरी फर्म के साथ कांटेक्ट करके अपना काम, जो भी कंसल्टेंसी का काम तो शुरू कर सकते हैं। तो ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है। और जहाँ तक सऊदीया की बात है, सऊदी गवर्नमेंट ने जो सबसे अच्छा काम किया है, उन्होंने इसी पे फोकस किया हुआ है, एंटरप्रेन्योर स्किल पे बहुत फोकस किया हुआ है। मैं हाल में एक जगह गया था बर्गर खाने के लिए, मुझे वहाँ मुझे हैरत हो गई उसको देखते हुए। बंदा एमबीए करके आया हुआ था यूएसए से और उसने बड़ा अच्छा सेटअप बनाया हुआ था, अपना बिजनेस कर रहा था वो, क्योंकि यहाँ पे बाकायदा एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के लिए लोन मिलते हैं। तो इसने यूथ पे काम किया। हमें अपनी यूथ को इस चीज़ पे लाना पड़ेगा और आई एम श्योर, जितना मुझे पता है कि हमारी जो गवर्नमेंट्स हैं वो शायद इस पे काम कर रही होंगी यकीनन, और करना चाहिए। यूथ को आप देखें, हम लोग, जॉब बहुत अच्छी चीज़ है, जॉब के मैं अगेंस्ट नहीं हूँ, लेकिन अगर हम सब लोग सिर्फ जॉब ही ढूंढते रहेंगे तो बिजनेस कैसे बढ़ेगा? ये छोटे छोटे बिजनेस जो आज शुरू करेंगे, 10 साल 20 साल के बाद वो किसी ना किसी शेप में कहीं ना कहीं तो बड़े एम्पायर्स बनेंगे। हर इंसान की सक्सेस स्टोरी देख लें। और मेरा मेरा सॉरी, हो सकता है ये टॉपिक से रेलेवेंट ना हो, लेकिन मैं आपको ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट मैसेज देना चाहता हूँ जो मेरे पार्टिसिपेंट हैं, कि प्लीज प्लीज अपने आप को सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है, अपने माइंडसेट को गुलामी, ये नौकरी की गुलामी का तो खत्म करें। मैं सॉरी मैं किसी को वो नहीं कर रहा, लेकिन अपने दिमाग को आजाद करें। जितना आपका ब्रेन आजाद होगा, आपका
आप
माइंड
जो
आजाद।
बात कह रहे हैं ना, ये आप जो बात कर रहे हैं, वो शोएब मेमन साहब जो है वो हंस रहे हैं और अदनान भाई भी हंस रहे हैं, दोनों बोले यार हमें नौकरी में ये क्या, हमें किस चक्कर में लगा है। वो देखो शाहिद भी हंस रहे हैं।
नहीं, मैं आपको सही बता रहा हूँ। मैं यकीन माने, आप 50 देखें, नौकरी में रिटायरमेंट है, बिजनेस में कोई रिटायरमेंट नहीं है।
शाहिद जी आपके लिए बोल रहे हैं।
मैं सही बता रहा
अदनान
हूँ।
भाई।
मैं तो बल्कि जो लोग 45-50 के हो चुके हैं, उनको तो कोशिश ये करनी चाहिए कि रिटायरमेंट लें और अपना कोई काम शुरू करें, इतना स्किल, वरना आप अपनी जिंदगी के देखें 55 आप जो स्किलफुल लोग हैं इतने, क्योंकि हम रिस्क लेने से डरते हैं। हमें सच्ची बात है, चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट में ये होता है यार, पहले एक नीचे अच्छी गाड़ी खड़ी होनी चाहिए और फिर अच्छी जगह घर हो, और यार मेरी इंश्योरेंस भी कवर्ड हो, मेरे बच्चों की एजुकेशन भी पेड हो। मुझे डर लगता है कि मैं यार ये सारी चीजें नहीं होंगी तो क्या होगा, जिंदगी नहीं चलेगी। मैं आपको अपना पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करता हूँ। मैंने सऊदीया के अंदर, मैंने जब यहाँ बिजनेस शुरू किया था, तो मुझे अक्सर लोग कहते थे कि यार ये कैसे काम होगा। मैं खुद भी सोचता था। आज अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह 3 साल से ऊपर हो गए मुझे, और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मैं बहुत अच्छी जगह हूँ। तो मेरा यही एक्सपीरियंस है लोगों को, मेरी एडवाइस होती है। मैं ये नहीं कहता कि हर आदमी ये काम कर सकता है, लेकिन सबसे बड़ी चीज इस सिनेरियोज में सबसे बेहतरीन सोल्यूशन जो है वो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप है। आपके अंदर अपना बिजनेस, आप देख लीजिएगा 6 महीने के बाद डाउन, तो जब ये चीजें खत्म होंगी ना, बिजनेस फिर से अप हो जाएगा। और जिनकी नौकरियां चली गई हैं, अल्लाह ना करे वो फिर घूम रहे होंगे, किसी और कंपनी में ढूंढेंगे, वहां जाएंगे, फिर वहां मसाइल आएंगे। तो कम से कम आपका माइंडसेट चेंज होना चाहिए। ये कोरोना ने हमें एक चीज सिखाई है कि आप अपना माइंडसेट चेंज करें, वरना आप इसी को, बस मुझे यही कहना था।
थैंक यू अरमान,
थैंक्स ऑल
बहुत
ऑफ यू।
मैं जो हूँ आखिर में सरमद खान को बुलाने से पहले ये बताऊं कि काफी सारे लोगों को हमें ये बात पता ही नहीं है कि गूगल और माइक्रोसॉफ्ट जो है फ्री तालीम देता है। क्लास 8 से लेके ग्रेड 8 से लेके और ग्रेड 13 तक की उनकी तालीम ऑनलाइन फ्री है। जो लोग पढ़ना चाहते हैं, जो इस्तेमाल करना चाहते हैं, हमें कितने लोगों को ये पता है। तो चीजें मौजूद हैं, किसी ने देखने की मतलब कोशिश ही नहीं करी। अब आज जब पेंडेमिक है, हमें उस तरफ अदर साइड ऑफ द स्टोरी देखने को अब हमें नजर आया कि अच्छा ऐसा भी हो रहा है, ऐसी भी चीजें हो रही हैं दुनिया के अंदर, ये भी हम कर सकते हैं। आपकी बात में बिल्कुल सदाकत है कि जो बिजनेस छोटा हो बड़ा हो। अब अभी मुझे एक सॉरी मैं टाइम ले रहा हूँ आप लोगों का, एक बंदा मिला, उसने कहा कि यहाँ पे एक फिलिपिनी मिला, उसने कहा कि यार मैं मुल्क वापस नहीं जाऊंगा और क्या होगा, गाड़ी साफ कर लूंगा 10 दिन, एक गाड़ी साफ करने में दिन में अगर मैं 10 गाड़ी साफ कर लूंगा तो महीने के 3000 कमा लूंगा। तो ये थॉट प्रोसेस है कि किस तरीके से हम जो है इसको यूटिलाइज करते हैं अपने। लास्ट हमारे स्पीकर है हरदिल अजीज सरमद खान साहब, मशहूर मारूफ शख्सियत है और आई कैप के और कम्युनिटी के। सरमद साहब, टू यू।
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Can you all hear me?
जी सर, जरूरत नहीं है माइक की, आप ऐसी आवाज पहुंच गई है, क्या नाम है, वहां तक ओमान तक आ गई है। अदनान भाई को ओमान तक आई है, पता है अशफाक भाई को आई कि नहीं आई पाकिस्तान में।
Okay, I'll be very brief. Basically, this webinar, the topics of the webinar today were four. That is COVID a global risk, impact of COVID on the world economy, how to cope up with the COVID crisis, and exploring opportunity in COVID-19 crisis. Basically, I've listened to all the speakers today, especially Mr. Wakar. He spoke very well on the topics, and also Shoaib Memon spoke on the England, so I won't touch on the England base because already that has been discussed and don't want to repeat. I would come back to the Mr. Ashfaq Batavia, what he said, and that's the fourth point, is the exploring opportunity in COVID-19 crisis. Basically, the issue is that I fully agree with Ashfaq Batavia that unfortunately our ICAP members, most of them like 80-90%, they're looking for a good cushy jobs with a good salary packages and all the facilities, but they're not looking into what are the other options available. Like, for example, I will give my example myself, that I'm also I have multiple things on my plate. Like, I'm a CFO for Astons, which is a global immigration firm, which I take care of their all the financial functions. Then I'm also their head of Middle East. I opened up their offices in Dubai, Saudi, and I almost visit on a monthly basis to Dubai and Saudi. And also have my own accounting practice that is for SME. I also work with the other high net worth individuals all over the world regarding the UK taxation and different things. So it's multiple plates. Basically, what I have noticed is that our members, the opportunity currently is the data technology and globalization. Last year, I was in Saudi Arabia. I attended this Future Investment Initiative Summit, and there was a Chatham House rules. There was one event they did. Chatham House rules are that you cannot quote a speaker, but you can say what was discussed there. And there was a Chinese speaker, and he startled me when he said that in 5 years' time, the role of the accountant will become redundant. And then later I spoke with him after that seminar that, why are you saying so? So he said, well, it's all digitalization, automation, artificial intelligence, all the work of the accountants will be done by the softwares. And so in the, so then he said,
yesterday, just interview, yesterday there is an article there, triple entry. So double entry is now will become obsolete.
Yes.
Sorry.
So basically, he said what will happen is that only those jobs will be in demand which are highly technical and highly advanced and sophisticated jobs. So basically, like Waqar and Ashfaq has said, that we have to think of the other things also. We have to think of becoming an entrepreneur. We have to think of the businesses, because these jobs, people have maybe 50,000, 100,000 dirham per year salaries in Middle East. But in the future, these jobs may end because people will say, oh, I can get a young guy for 15, 20, 25,000 dirham. Why I'm paying this guy 100,000, which is a liability? He's becoming an old, so I need a young person. So what I would suggest to our members, that look for the opportunities, look for the options. This COVID-19 has given a tremendous opportunity for everyone to think over that, how they can evolve, how they can, job is not the end of everything. My own feeling is that, okay, I'm not on a job, I don't have like that sort of pension when I retire, but I have these multiple things which will go with me for life. And like Ashfaq said, that the self-employed person, entrepreneur, they don't retire. They always work. Like in the UK, the age of retirement is 65, and now it will be raised to 68. But what we need to encourage all our participants and all the members who are listening to this webinar, that think of the other opportunity, think of what the technology has given us. Like, although Ashfaq is right that basically the outsourcing and these sort of works are a bit slow, but in Pakistan, there is a good talent, and we can employ that talent and look into that and look into how people have done it from the scratch. It's not that some people say, oh, I cannot do a work, I cannot start up work. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. We have one ICAP member, I think Faisal Ganatra. He has set up this spice business, and I was a bit surprised that I looked at some ads that is from the USA on the LinkedIn and Instagram, that his products, these spices like National Foods and all these, they are now being sold in basically in US markets. And I think in Houston, I saw Malika Foods. So that guy is a true entrepreneur. He's a pure accountant, but he's a true entrepreneur. And that's how, what I want.
Faisal is our buddy, yeah.
Yes. So that's what I want our members to think of the other things, although this has given us an opportunity to work from home and all these options, to reflect on that. But like I will go to Waqar Yaqub, that we have to have a discipline 9 to 5. You cannot work 24 hours on this computer. Even if you're working from home, you need to spend time outside, although unfortunately now you cannot go anywhere out because of the government restrictions. But we have to be careful of that. And what I will end on that, basically, the UK is a tremendous, is offering a tremendous opportunities. After Brexit, there will be more opportunities in the UK for our entrepreneurs. The immigration schemes are starting. There are.
Let's go to UK.
Basically, Asif, you should, and other entrepreneurs, that you should set up companies or maybe operations in the UK in the future. UK is a great land of opportunity. 60 million people. So it's a big opportunity for everyone. So basically, I would suggest the people, all our participants, to think of the future, think of the big end, think outside the job. Job is not everything. Like, for example, if you don't have a job for 6 months, what will you do then? So basically, you need to set up something part-time, something slow, and look into the options, opportunities. You can using the networking skills and this and that, and do something else. Do like become hybrid. Have a job. Like even I did myself initially when I started as self-employed. I had a job initially, and then I did the part-time work, and then I left the job and just started everything like that. Although I still have a job, it's not I don't have the job, but I have other multiple things, and there I have a multiple income receipt sources. I'm not dependent on one. If one avenue closes, I have multiple 5-6 different avenues. So I think of myself to be from Allah's fazl safe and secure. But for the other members, I'm a bit worried that like I told you in the that future investment initiative, that the guy was saying the jobs will end. So what will our members do? So we have to evolve. We have to think bigger than how it is now. Okay, then I think that's
Thank you.
enough. Cool.
Thank you very much. We will take an opportunity to listen 2-3 minutes from Ashar Noor, that what do you think about this? You know, all you have listened to all the speakers and everybody. So Ashar bhai, आप बताएंगे क्या है?
Asif, for 3 minutes or 30 minutes?
Yeah, 2 minutes. अशफाक भाई, अशर है ना, अशर 2 मिनट में बताएगा.
Ashar means 30 minutes.
नहीं सर.
माशाल्लाह, माशाल्लाह, माशाल्लाह.
बहुत शुक्रिया. 30 मिनट्स बात करना बहुत आसान है. मैं ज्यादा से ज्यादा 60 सेकंड्स बात करूंगा, और वो भी भाई I wasn't planning on talking. देखें, जो अभी हो रहा है, there are times when for several decades nothing happens, and then there are certain weeks in which decades happen, and we are going through those weeks जहाँ पे दिहाइयां बीत रही हैं. तो अगर हम इन हफ्तों को किसी ना किसी तरह कैप्चर नहीं करेंगे, we will go back a few decades. कहना आसान है, but we have to really embrace these few weeks. अब इसमें करना क्या है? एक चीज बस मैं बोलूंगा और फिर मैं खत्म करूंगा. वो एक मशवरा मैं दे सकता हूं जो कि मुझे दूसरों ने दिया है, दूसरों से मैंने सुना है. वो ये है कि this is not the time to take long-term decisions based on short-term needs. आपकी आज अगर जॉब चली गई तो आप अपनी जमीन बेच देंगे, सब कुछ बेच देंगे और आप अपनी दुकान लगा लेंगे. That is not the right solution. लॉन्ग टर्म विजन अपना रखें, लॉन्ग टर्म काम करें, लेकिन शॉर्ट टर्म नीड्स को मैनेज करने के लिए आप जो एसेट लायबिलिटी मिसमैच होता है या जो हमारा वर्किंग कैपिटल मिसमैच होता है अकाउंटिंग टर्म्स में, आप शॉर्ट टर्म लॉन्ग टर्म को मिक्स ना करें. चंद एक स्पीकर्स ने जो सजेशंस दिए हैं मैं उनसे एग्री और डिसएग्री करूंगा, लेकिन वो लंबी बात हो जाएगी. आई विल जस्ट स्टॉप एट दैट. मैं एक मंडेला का कोट आपको देना चाह रहा हूँ, नेल्सन मंडेला का, जो मतलब जहन में आता है इस चीज में. उसने ये कहा था, आई नेवर लूज. ये गेम जो है हारने या जीतने की है. मंडेला ने बड़ी सिंपल बात की थी, आई नेवर लूज, आई विन और आई लर्न. तो ये टाइम ये है इस रेस में, आइदर यू विन और यू लर्न फ्रॉम योर मिस्टेक्स. आई विल स्टॉप एट दैट. शुक्रिया.
थैंक यू वेरी मच, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. बिफोर द क्लोजिंग, जो अशफाक भाई क्लोजिंग करेंगे, मैं एक दो चीजें हाईलाइट करना चाहता हूं कि एक तो मैं बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करूंगा सब पार्टिसिपेंट का, और अशफाक भाई का, डॉक्टर कैसर अनीस, इकबाल दाऊद साहब, और हमारे कामरान साहब ऑस्ट्रेलिया से, शाहिद मुराद साहब केएसए से, अदनान हारून साहब, कतर से शफीकुर रहमान साहब, बहरीन से अरशद गार्डेड, शोएब मेमन साहब यूके से, यूएसए से वकार, कनाडा से असद अब्बास, अशफाक बटावी और सरमद खान. कुछ सेक्टर्स हैं जिनके ऊपर इम्पैक्ट पड़ा है, जो आप अगर आप मैक्रो लेवल पे देखना चाह रहे हैं, क्या बिजनेसेस ऊपर गए हैं और क्या बिजनेसेस डाउन गए हैं. जो सबसे ज्यादा नेवडेक के अंदर आप देखेंगे, सबसे द बिगेस्ट लूजर जो है वो यूनाइटेड एयरलाइंस है. ठीक है, 25% के शेयर 3 महीने में डाउन गए हैं. और जो बिगेस्ट यानी कि गेनर है, आप बहुत हैरान कुन होंगे, देखें जिसमें गेमिंग कंपनी है, निटेंडो है, दूसरे गेमिंग. इसका मतलब है लोग घर पे बैठ के बच्चे देख रहे हो, खाली गेम खेल रहे हैं. ये एक आइडिया फ्लोट कर रहा हूँ कि कौन से बिजनेस, अगर लोग कोई बिजनेस करना चाह रहे हैं तो वो सोचे. दूसरे जो गेनर 230% सबसे ज्यादा क्लोरेक्स और ये डिटॉल कंपनी ऊपर गई है, क्योंकि डिटॉल में लिखा हुआ आ रहा था ये क्लोरा को मारती है. बाद से लोगों ने पी भी लिया डिटॉल, आपको पता होगा. तो ये कुछ कंपनीज है. फिर एक हैरान कुन बात है, पेल्टॉन एक कंपनी है जो होम एक्सरसाइज मशीन्स और बनाती है. उसका बिजनेस जो है वो तकरीबन जो है 26 या 28% अप किया है. ये तो आईटी से हट के बता रहा हूँ. इसके अलावा आपको एक छोटी सी चीज बताता हूँ, जो फूड स्टफ के अंदर जो हाईएस्ट जो इंक्लाइन आया है किसी प्रोडक्ट के ऊपर, वो अंडे पे आया है 16%. आपको पता नहीं चलता अंडा इतना सस्ता है. जब आप मार्केट जाएंगे तो जो ग्रोसरी शॉप्स है और खाने पीने की चीजें वो महंगी हो गई हैं. ऑनलाइन जो यूएई के अंदर जिससे तलबात है, जोमैटोस है, उनका बिजनेस जो है वो 300% अब चला गया है. इसी तरीके से जो कंपनीज है, अगर आप अपना बिजनेस जैसे कि अशफाक बटाविया, सरमद खान और ये लोग बता रहे हैं अपना बिजनेस करना चाहते हैं, तो वो एवेन्यूज देखें. ये वाले एवेन्यूज हैं, जैसे मैंने आपको मिसाल दी थी कि जो है शब्बीर मर्चेंट ने अपना बिजनेस शुरू किया है ये सैनिटाइजेशन का, इस तरीके से. तो ये जो फार्मास्यूटिकल्स की साइड, हेल्थ केयर की साइड ये जा रहा है. और खास तौर पे अगर मैं एक चीज ऐड करूंगा कि टेक्नोलॉजी के बगैर हम लोग का नोकिया सा हाल हो जाएगा आई कैप चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स का. उसकी वजह ये है, जब ट्रिपल एंट्रीज आ रही हैं, ब्लॉकचेन आ रही है, टेक्नोलॉजीज आ रही हैं, जिसके अंदर आपको ऑडिटर्स अगर अपने आप को चेंज नहीं करेगा, उसको स्मार्ट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का ऑडिट करना है, उसको सिक्योरिटी का ऑडिट करना है, तो खत्म हो जाएगा। अकाउंटिंग चेंज हो चुकी है, अकाउंटिंग ऑटोमेट होगी ब्लॉकचेन टेक्नोलॉजी और दूसरी टेक्नोलॉजी के तहत। तो एज अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट मैं इन्फिसाइज करता हूँ, लोगों को बताता हूँ कि फिनटेक स्टडी करें, और जो अशफाक भाई आए हैं मैं उनसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि सिलेबस को कोशिश करें चेंज है, जिसमें फिनटेक ब्लॉकचेन टेक्नोलॉजीज आए, ये क्रिप्टो एसेट्स आए, ये सारी चीजें आए, प्लेटफॉर्म्स आए, डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म्स जो आजकल चल रहे हैं, आपको ये सारी चीजें आ रही हैं। तो ये सारी चीजें अगर ट्रांसफॉर्म नहीं करेंगे आज, अगर हम चेंज नहीं लेके आएंगे तो हम चेंज हो जाएंगे। सो क्लोजिंग रिमार्क्स के लिए मैं अशफाक भाई की तरफ जाऊंगा। अशफाक भाई, टू यू।
Thank you very much, Asif bhai. Again, extremely grateful to the organizers and the participants and my worthy brothers, speakers from most of them, but almost everyone was from ICAP. So it was an ICAP show arranged by a private institution. So I'm grateful to you. Okay, the takeaway from today's webinar is like, I mean, the economy is going down. Perceive an opportunity from adversity. So this is the theme and the punchline. This is a famous quote. And I think, as Usher has rightly said, I win or I learn. So this is Nelson, the great leader Nelson Mandela's quote. And I think most of the time I've read him, he's always right, but most of the time he is perfect. So this is again a lesson from today's webinar. Like doing your own business, yes, again a very good phenomenon, and especially in our fraternity, like chartered accountants जो हम हैं, we can do so many businesses at a time. हम जॉब भी कर रहे होते हैं, वर्क फ्रॉम होम जब था तो मुझे लोग पूछते थे कि यार क्या करना चाहिए। मैंने कहा आप कुछ ना करो, टैक्स की किताबें पढ़ो और टैक्स प्रैक्टिस शुरू कर दो। I mean, slowly, gradually, you will come into the picture, limelight, और जब आप आओगे तो आपका काम बढ़ेगा। अगर कोई बैंकिंग करना चाहता है तो बैंकिंग रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग की बहुत ज्यादा अपॉर्चुनिटीज आएंगी, वो शुरू कर दे। तो ये सब चीजें हैं आपके पास। डाइवर्सिफिकेशन वाज अवेलेबल, प्रोडक्ट डाइवर्सिफिकेशन वाज अवेलेबल, इट वाज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड कि आप मेन स्ट्रीम में रहो, and then you can diversify your businesses. I can cite you my own example. I left a job of maybe 500,000 in 2010 and I started my own business. The first month billing was 10,000 rupees. So I took a decision, I stick to it. Now, mashallah, I have no regrets. It took me 2-3 years to settle down and then I'm on. So Faisal Mubin Ganatra, yes, again a very successful story. So many other players like Sarmad is doing. Every time you find a new business email from Sarmad. And mashallah, I really encourage that. दूसरा आप भी जो आपने बताया, तो you know that at ICAP level we have got a digital accounting and assurance board, and that is the only board Pakistan has. Now, inshallah, we are trying. I mean, from my personal effort, I'm trying to get a tie-up with the government of Pakistan Ministry of IT. So a proper platform can be given to us because we have already included so many people from outside in that board. And we are trying to upgrade our syllabus as well and learning skills of the members as well as far as IT is concerned. Obviously, we'll seek your help. We will ask you people, whosoever wants to contribute, just let me know and I can just get your help as well. Rana Osman साहब उसको देख रहे हैं, पहले नजम साहब देख रहे थे, अब Rana Osman देख रहे हैं, I'm also part of it. Asad Shah साहब हैं, there's so many people जो हैं इसके part. So what I'm saying कि अब आप इसको बताएं हमें, ICAP is you are ICAP here. So ICAP को आपने गाइड करना है, the members, the diaspora, my chapters. तो वो आप मुझे बताएं बिजनेस एंगल से। हमारे पास आपको पता है इकबाल साहब ने जब भी मुझे कॉल किए मैं आया हूँ, and we wanted to tie up businesses with UAE. Last time when we visited UAE, myself and President Khalilullah Sheikh Saab, we met His Excellency Ambassador of Pakistan, and we made few propositions to him as well. So inshallah, ये period भी over हो जाएगा. But as rightly said, these weeks have given us decades, and it will be a learning experience of decade for all of us. In my humble view, it was a great learning opportunity for me, and I think we all must have take something from this opportunity. और इसमें काम कीजिएगा आसिफ. Those who are the members, they can apply for the credit hours of CPD. और मेरा ख्याल है 3 घंटे चला है, तो आप 3 घंटे CPD क्लेम कर लीजिएगा. Inform उमेर जमाल and I will request Saifullah Khan to accord these 3 hours, ताकि कम से कम एटलीस्ट हम ये कह सकें कि this is a great learning experience. We've been rewarded for that as well. So risk and reward timing up की risk और reward ये था. Weekend था. Australian brother must have sleep. Kamran Saab, all of you have a safe stay and have a nice weekend, except for those who are in the Middle East, because they will be opening up tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jazakallah. Thank you very much. And
Ashwath bhai, this is not
बोले
fair. Participants should get at least 12 hours, not 3 hours.
क्या भाई मुझे सुनने के मिलेंगे कि आपको सुनने के 12 घंटे?
तो बोलना मैंने तैयारी के लगाए हैं. बोले भाई स्पीकर को तो जो है ना ज्यादा मिलेगा ना, आप लिख सकते हैं. सर थैंक यू
आप डायरेक्टिव देख ले, पैनलिस्ट में डबल होते हैं.
हाँ देखें, शोएब भाई भी, शोएब भाई ने जब सुना कि इतने आवर्स मिले, शोएब भाई फौरन स्क्रीन ऑन कर लिया, शोएब भाई भी आ गए. जी सर.
मेमन भाई कहता है कि डबल मिले.
डॉक्टर साहब कुछ कहेंगे? या डॉक्टर साहब, यस प्लीज.
जी, ये तोला साहब ने तो 2 तोला दे दिया सही तरह का. आखिर में क्लोजिंग रिमार्क बहुत अच्छा क्लोज किया. आई एम वेरी प्राउड. लेकिन जो टेकअप है इससे, और मैं शेयर करूंगा, मैं और डॉक्टर हादी KPMG में काम करते थे फर्गुसन के बाद, एंड इट वाज नॉट इजी टू लीव दैट गुड पोजीशन. और उसके बाद हमने प्रैक्टिस शुरू की. आज 43 इयर्स है, वी हैव नॉट रिटर्न बैक. और हमें कोई ये नहीं फिक्र होती है कि यार अभी रिटायरमेंट होने वाली है या खत आने वाला है. सो आई विल रिक्वेस्ट ऑल माय मेंबर्स कि बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम पढ़ो और शुरू करो. एंड यू हैव द लाइसेंस एंड यू हैव द कॉम्पिटेंसी. और ये जो आपको एक्सपीरियंस है, मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ, चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंसी से अच्छा प्रोफेशन कोई नहीं है दुनिया में. और आप सब CEO यही बनते हैं, एडवाइजर ये बनाते हैं, सबके पैसे ये कमा के देते हैं, तो आप क्यों नहीं खुद कमाए? और हमने एक चीज देखी कि हमने कोई पार्टनरशिप बिजनेस की नहीं की. हम प्रोफेशन में रहे और आज तक प्रोफेशन में हमने ये नहीं कहा कि बराबर में कोई प्रिंटिंग प्रेस से हम पार्टनरशिप कर लें या हम किसी और चीज कर लें. वी स्टे इन प्रोफेशन एंड वी हैव नाउ हाईएस्ट लेवल इन यूनाइटेड अरब एमिरेट्स. हमारी जो एलियट ग्रुप है, 200 ऑफिस है दुनिया में, कहीं से भी आप कुछ भी मंगवा लें. So it is the best profession, and I really am very lucky to have to see you all. सारी दुनिया बैठी हुई है, लंदन, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, USA, कनाडा, और we are very fortunate आसिफ साहब ने अरेंज किया. Thank you very much.
सर मकबूल साहब, अब मकबूल साहब भी हैं. सर मकबूल साहब, आपको भी जरा कुछ राय दें, 2 मिनट आप भी बताएं.
इरशाद.
It was my pleasure to attend such an informative session. Everyone played their role and part very effectively. It was a really thorough learning session. I thank you for arranging such a session, and people from all across the globe were here. It was really international conference, let me call it. It was international conference of professionals on COVID. Everyone shared the experience of their own country and gave the way forward from their perspective, and everyone given the angle which was a unique angle. So I'm very delighted to be part of this, attending this session. And thank you very much, Asif, for arranging such a wonderful session.
No, thank you very much, sir.
Asif.
जी सर.
Thank you, Maqbool Saab. Being chairman Overseas Coordination Committee, I must congratulate you. मगर इसके अलावा हम इसके OCC के प्लेटफॉर्म से I would like to arrange this sort of an evening,
इंशाल्लाह
members. और उसमें एक काम आप ये कर लें कि हम एक छोटी सी कोई कोऑर्डिनेशन कमेटी बना लेते हैं, जैसे कि यूएई से एक आध हो जाए. अभी तो आप इलेक्शन मोड में है सारे, तो इस तरीके से, यानी कि सऊदिया से एक ले लेते हैं हम, शोएब मेमन हो जाए, जिस बहरीन चैप्टर से आप ले लें, कोई 3-4 मिलके एक आप कमेटी बना लें. You select the theme. I I promise you, one of the prominent personality of Pakistan will be there as the chief guest,
Inshallah.
and we will market our diaspora CA fraternity to the nation, including मेरा ख्याल है या Ministry of IT को हम ले लेंगे किसी को, या Minister of Commerce को अनुराग दाऊद साहब को ले आएंगे, किसी ना किसी को लेके आएंगे, ठीक है ना, ताकि आप एक अच्छा फंक्शन आप ऑर्गेनाइज करें वेबिनार, और इंशाल्लाह हम करते हैं
सर। इंशाल्लाह नहीं सर, बड़ी खुशी हुई मैंने जब एक इस बारे में, आपको पता है कि हम लोग तकरीबन बाई वीकली प्रोग्राम, जो मैंने एक टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनी खोली है ये अलिफ टेक्नोलॉजी, हम बाई वीकली प्रोग्राम करते रहते हैं मुख्तलिफ, यानी कि इस्लामिक शरिया लॉज ऑफ फिनटेक पे। जब मैंने ये प्रोग्राम करने की वजह से मुझे नहीं मालूम था कि ये प्रोग्राम इतना बढ़ जाएगा, और माशाल्लाह से सब लोगों ने यानी कि हामी भरी, और ये प्रोग्राम अगर मुझे पता होता मैं आईकैप लेवल पे करता, ऐसा कोई मसला नहीं था, क्योंकि जो ये कंपनी आप लोगो देख रहे हैं, इस कंपनी का इससे कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है कोविड से, ये स्पेसिफिकली फिनटेक के ऊपर हम लोग काम करते हैं, ब्लॉकचेन और टेक्नोलॉजी और सॉफ्टवेयर पे। तो एनी हाउ ये तो बहुत खुशी का है कि हम पूरी दुनिया से लोग इसमें शामिल हुए, और ये एक गेट टुगेदर, यानी कि खुशी हुई कि सब एक दूसरे से मिलके बात करी, क्योंकि आपको पता है ये जैसे कि किसी ने बोला भी कि कभी हम सोच भी नहीं सकते थे कि इतने कम नोटिस पे, ये शफीक साहब बोल रहे थे, इतने कम नोटिस पे आप इतने सारे लोगों को इकट्ठे कर लेंगे और इतने सारे लोग टाइम देंगे। तो बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सबका टाइम देने का और इस इवेंट को करने का। खासतौर पे अशफाक भाई ने बहुत हेल्प करी और सपोर्ट दी, और बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया मकबूल साहब का, अशर साहब का जो खासतौर पे इतनी देर तक सुनते रहे हमें, और डॉक्टर साहब का। मैं सब पार्टिसिपेंट को बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करूंगा। इंशाल्लाह ताला हम अगला प्रोग्राम करेंगे इंशाल्लाह ताला आईकैप लेवल पे, और बस यही है कि मोहब्बत होनी चाहिए और हम एक सोल्यूशन निकालें। जब हम मिल बैठ के बात करते हैं तो कोई ना कोई सोल्यूशन निकल आता है। जाहिर बात है कि ये प्रॉब्लम कोई एक सिंगल पर्सन या सिंगल कम्युनिटी या सिंगल कंट्री के ऊपर नहीं है, ये ओवरऑल ग्लोबल पेंडेमिक है, और इसने लोगों को आपस में जोड़ भी दिया है। अगर दूर कर दिया तो लोगों के पास आज टाइम है अपनी फैमिली के साथ स्पेंड करने के लिए, सबसे अच्छी बातों में जो है। और आपको पता है कि इन्वायरमेंटल फ्रेंडली हो गए हैं, जैसे पोल्यूशन कम हो गया है, लोग अपने भी बच्चों के साथ टाइम दे रहे हैं। तो थैंक्स अ लॉट, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सब पार्टिसिपेंट का कि उनका यहाँ आने का, और अपने व्यूज दिए हैं और रिव्यूज दिए हैं। और ये पूरी रिकॉर्डिंग अवेलेबल है, मैं शेयर कर लूंगा यूट्यूब के ऊपर, तो जो भी जैसे भी शेयर करना चाहते हैं वो कर सकते हैं। और कुछ लोगों के सवालात थे इंशाल्लाह ताला जिंदगी बखैर, वो अगले सेशन में वो उसका जवाब देंगे। थैंक्स अ लॉट और अस्सलाम वालेकुम फ्रॉम दुबई। अस्सलाम वालेकुम पाकिस्तान।
Thank you, Asif. Thanks all of you, and thanks Asif especially.
Thanks a lot.
Hafiz, Asif. Thank you, everyone.